on Sky Sports 1, Tottenham Portsmouth at 3:30 also on Sky Sports 1, and live A1 racing from Zandvoort at 1 on Sky Sports 3.
This is Sky Sports Live.
In its first season, A1GP promised its audience an exciting new race series. That's exactly what they got. This year, the fans expect, and A1GP promises to deliver even more than before. Welcome to Zandvoort, Holland, and to the first race day of a new A1GP season. Hi there. Since its creation, A1GP has received unconditional support from one group of fans in particular, the Dutch. Disciples to Team Netherlands around the world, the Orange Army has cried out for an A1 event of its own, and today in Amsterdam it has it. Plenty for the locals to be happy about, so too for Team GBR fans with new recruit Darren Manning in the driving seat. So an exciting new season in store. With me to watch it get started, well, touring car champion Andy Priaulx and motor racing expert Tony Jardine. Tony, Holland the venue for the first A1GP race of a new season. Has fan power played a bit of a part there?
A huge part. I mean, they're motor racing staff. They love Grand Prix racing. They love all forms of racing there. Last Grand Prix was there in '85 and they flocked back. A lot of it because of Jos Verstappen, because they've had a strong Dutch team to support an A1GP last year. But despite the fact that he's not racing, they've still turned up in huge numbers. They didn't want their money back, and there's over 100,000 of them there. Big fans.
Couple of rule changes that we need to bring you up to date with. Andy, how important is it in terms of the teams to put in solid, consistent performances?
Well, you win the championship at the end of the year, but you set the foundation for the championship in the first few races of the year. There's going to be a few new guys learning the ropes. They're going to get faster, and it generally gets closer and closer during the season. So you really do get the big points right now.
Just to pick out a couple of these, the sprint race now 20 minutes long, so that's been reduced. The feature race lengthened though to 70 minutes. On that feature race, there is a mandatory pit stop that must be taken between laps 8 and 20. And just to continue, they've redesigned the wheel hub and nut assembly to improve tyre changes. So, Andy, presumably pit stop strategy all important once more for the feature.
Yeah, if you remember last year, we had all that problem at the beginning of the season with sticky wheel nuts and wheel guns flying all over the place. The whole level of this championship has improved now, and some of the rule changes I think are very positive.
Let's also talk about the fact that the sprint race time has been cut down, the feature race lengthened. How's that going to affect decisions that the teams make with regards to car setup, Tony?
Well, quite a lot. Clearly, one of the issues last year was that the gap between the two races was not sufficient if you had damage to the car. This also allows them, with this new driver system of having rookies on Friday, to nominate a different driver to go into the sprint race, provided you nominate them in time. But if, for example, you're putting a different driver in, you've got to change the seat, change the pedals, maybe change the setup, and you've got over 3 hours to do this. And they only have 5 spare cars this year instead of having all the spares that they did, which cost them a lot in time and energy and money last year. And I think there's a lot of good reasons for it, plus the new qualifying system that they've got, which is the aggregate of all the fastest times, etc. I think it makes for much better racing.
Okay, well, let's just bring you up to date with exactly what did happen yesterday. Then the qualifying results looking like this on pole Team South Africa, and the new driver Adrian Zaug also on the front row. Mexico's Salvador Duran in third. Team France, the champions of course, joined on row 2 by Germany's Nico Hülkenberg. Fifth was Switzerland, now Team GBR and Darren Manning. So he has certainly benefited from that. Well, Zandvoort does have a reputation of being a driver's track and a corner called Tarzan. So it's no surprise it responds well to a certain F1 winner come commentator. Ben Edwards reveals all and fills you in on the history of the circuit.
The dawn comes up on the second season of A1GP at the Dutch seaside resort of Zandvoort, a venue that hosted Formula One Grand Prix between 1952 and 1985. A1 TV commentator John Watson raced here many times, battling for the lead of the 1976 event with James Hunt and scoring a podium in his last race here in 1983.
It's a circuit I enjoyed racing on, round the sand dunes of the seaside town, but it still looks to have the same basic flow and nature of corners that I enjoyed, and I'm looking forward to go back out on track.
Driving the powerful A1GP car will need a reasonable level of fitness.
I haven't been in the gym flogging myself for week upon week upon week, but I do my own exercises.
And John has concentrated on detailed preparation.
Principally get a larger pair of overalls, and that's about it.
It might be a few years since he last drove a frontline racing car, but the professionalism and attention to detail stay with any top driver, and John's cutting no corners before getting in the car.
Well, there's only one way to treat driving a racing car, that's seriously, and you must treat it with respect.
As he sets forth onto the track, let's find out what defines this circuit from a driver's point of view.
At the end of the front straight is the overtaking point of the circuit. Tarzan hairpin is as notorious as it is famous, with drivers diving to the inside of the corner to protect their line and others looking to go around the outside to catch the unaware. Exiting the Hugenholz hairpin, you climb through a series of left and right corners which get progressively faster. The final one is a blind approach taken flat in fifth gear before a dab on the brakes down to fourth and feel the G-forces. This corner is my best memory of racing at Zandvoort many years ago. Turns 11 and 12 are key to a fast lap. High downforce for qualifying, but as little as you can handle for the race without losing the vital rhythm of the circuit. That's the key corner to me, to get a quick lap, but principally for the race to set up an overtaking opportunity. And then down into turn one, into the famous Tarzan corner. Lots of opportunities to pass down in there. It is a place that's easily defended, but it's a place where you see a lot of aggression coming from drivers.
And now it's time to swap crash helmet for microphone once again.
Sitting in the commentary booth, having covered all the first series, you get into an A1GP car, and I'll tell you, it's a lot easier talking about it than it is driving. So it's a tough circuit, and it is not going to be a walk in the park, so anybody who finishes here and wins will have done a good day's work.
No doubt about it, he's still got it. Okay, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, the first race of new A1 season, the sprint from Zandvoort.
Golf and champagne go hand in glove. So say Europe's Ryder Cup stars. And 10 of that amazing team will be looking for more success at the home of golf. Celebrity partners from sport and showbiz will be looking for their own champagne moment. But it's serious. See Colin Montgomery defend his title at the Dunhill Links Championship with the Royal Bank of Scotland. Starting Thursday, 1:30 Sky Sports 1.
The surprisingly economical 307 HDI. You may be away longer than you think. Now with 4 years 0% finance. The Peugeot 307, the drive of your life.
And the
rhythm of life is a powerful beat. Put a tingle in your fingers and a tingle in your feet. Rhythm in your bedroom, rhythm in the street. Yes, the rhythm of life is a powerful beat. Flip your wings and fly to your daddy. Take a dive and swim to your daddy. Hit the floor and rock you, daddy. Baby, got the rhythm of life.
We could become cops or criminals. When you're facing a loaded gun, what's the difference?
This is who we're after.
An undercover cop.
He's gonna find out who I am and kill me.
A traitor inside the system.
I can get the rat.
From director Martin Scorsese, Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, Jack Nicholson, and Mark Wahlberg.
Do you want him to chop me up and feed me to the poor? Is that what you guys want?
The Departed, a Martin Scorsese picture.
In case you hadn't noticed, Which tests a lot more than just washing machines.
Designed to give you the power and responsiveness that could make all the difference. Shell V-Power. Fuel developed with Ferrari.
What's your financial goal? Secure your future with the AIG companies on your side. Your inner strength, our financial strength. The strength to make life better. Insurance and financial services. AIG, the strength to be there. AIG is principal sponsor of Manchester United.
There was a very minor technical infringement, minor or not. It meant that Switzerland lost their single fastest lap of the four that they had to run on Saturday, so they dropped themselves down to 11th place in the grid. Great disappointment for the team Switzerland, particularly for Sebastian Buemi, who had done a very good job. One of a number of very young drivers coming into A1GP this season. A very impressive driver, along with a lot of teenagers who are going to make a big name for themselves very quickly.
Well, it had rained pretty heavily overnight too as we came to the track this morning. It was drying up. There was a huge number of people coming in and everyone was looking forward to the sprint race. And it is a change of format this year in that the sprint race is run earlier in the day than the feature race. The teams now have more of a gap in which to work on the cars, repair the cars and get them ready.
Yes, and also the emphasis really is on the feature race. And what you have to do in the sprint race is not only just do your lap for your grid position in the sprint race, but then to get your position for the feature race, you have to then put that together with your single fastest lap in the sprint race combined to your position. So the three elements go in to determining your position for the grid for the feature race.
And we'll see the cars heading out onto track in just a few moments time to line up for the feature race. There you are looking at Kung Fu Cheng, or Frankie Cheng as he's known, driving for Team China this year. And Mark Hines to his left there, former British F3 champion who is a driver coach and has really been helping Frankie get to grips with this A1 V8 car. But let's just go back to what was going on this morning, the build-up to the sprint race. It was the first race of the season. It was going to be on a slightly damp track to make things even more exciting. Let's see what happened. What a sight it is to see the A1GP cars lined up in all their different national liveries as we prepare for the pace lap here behind the pace car, just to set them off, get a bit of tyre temperature up. This will be a chance to see how dry the track is And let's just wait for that green flag. It is now waved, and away goes the grid. 23 V8 engines powering their way, and it's a wonderful noise even off the line. If it's not a standing start this time, it resonates through our commentary box here, and it's South Africa that leads them down to Tarzan.
Yes, and pretty much everybody on the right hand side of the track was very quick to pull over to the left, the drier side, because of course keeping heat in your tyres or trying to build heat back up. The cars have been sitting for about 10 minutes in the grid, some maybe even longer. They will have tyre covers on to retain whatever heat they had at the end of their exploration laps, but now running at this relatively slow speed, they're not going to get the chance to generate very much temperature. That's why drivers are weaving around to try and put energy into the sidewall of the tyre to get heat to build it through the entire tyre carcass, not just simply the surface of the tyre.
The mass of people off the grid now. The grid has been cleared. Look around the track. The drivers will be assessing as much as possible here where the dry bits are and where the damp parts are. The problem is when you go side by side with another car, that's when you can get into trouble.
Well, certainly this section of circuit, I would not imagine too many drivers will attempt to do that, particularly as they approach. This is turn 5, very, very quick. A blind approach, bumpy on the entry to the corner. Big commitment, certainly in qualifying. The leading drivers were just coming off the throttle, breathing the engine, then back on in 5th gear, whereas initially the circuit, that was a 4th gear corner. As the rubber went down, the grip came, but with all the rain that fell last night, there have not been any other races prior to the start of the sprint race, so this track has gone green, and there will not be the level of grip that drivers enjoyed in qualifying on Saturday afternoon.
So watch for some mishaps. There's no doubt it's going to be very tricky out there. We heard from front row man Salvador Duran. He looked fairly anxious about the possibilities of mistakes being made on the opening laps. It's only 12 laps here. You've got very little time in which to improve on your grid position. You've got to go from it. It's like a Formula Ford sprint race rather than a long distance tactical race.
Because the other thing we have to watch for will be the use of the power boost button. You'll have 4 opportunities to use that, but coming onto the straight through turns 11 and 12 in qualifying, that was flat for everybody. But in race conditions, it isn't flat. You've got to breathe the engine in 5th gear. So you're not going to be able to get yet to use that button until really you move flat on the throttle 5th into 6th. Anytime you lift off the throttle, that disengages the power boost. So therefore you lose the benefit of horsepower that you'd gained by operating it in the first place.
They're slowing it right down, trying to get that grid to close up here, and Adrian Zauk is on the inside. It's the Mexican car that's actually ahead at the moment. They've got to get themselves side by side, otherwise they won't be given the start signal by Roland Brunserade, who's the race director here this weekend, very experienced race director. The cars are now assembling well as they come through the last 2 corners. The Ari Lyndike curve is the last one. They really are going slowly, and I hope that this doesn't cause any stalled engines or problems, because when you're going this slowly, race engines can be a little temperamental.
Also, look how close the grid is bunched together. I mean, there's barely space between side by side, let alone nose to tail, so the grid extremely close. Now, Zaug is going to have to build up speed. They can't go until they come across the line. That red light will go green, but look at the field spread out already, and we've got a race.
We're racing in A1GP, second season, and it's South Africa leads. Mexico trying to go down the outside, and France on the inside. Everybody drives into Tarzan. Mexico with the lead. Mexico has grabbed the advantage from South Africa. Great move from Salvador Duran. That was great, but here comes South Africa back at him. South Africa reclaims the top spot, and I think they've all managed. No, they haven't. Italy in trouble in the middle of the track at Tarzan. Alessandro Pierguidi, the only victim.
Well, that was a tough start for Zaug, because he'd never done a rolling start before. Duran got the advantage, but into Tarzan and out of Tarzan, Zaug came back and stamped his authority on the more experienced Mexican driver, and has already pulled out a gap as they come through turn 5.
France in 3rd, Germany in 4th, Great Britain in 5th place, then the United States in 6th. Looks like New Zealand's had a good start, up to 7th place already. Canada dropped back 8th place, Netherlands in 9th, and Switzerland in 10th. You're looking at New Zealand, the Black Beauty, just ahead of Canada. Matt Halliday has gained a place, and in fact he's now putting the pressure on Team USA. Halliday always quick in the damp conditions, could be one to watch there, New Zealand.
Well, in the meantime, the gap at front is opening up. Just watching Australia as it comes out, catching the off track. But there's the gap now.
New Zealand has taken USA, the black car down the inside, but can he hold it? USA now around the outside. There's a spin behind. Two cars in the gravel, but New Zealand gained the place. Now Canada, there's Indonesia recovering, and we've got a lot of dirt on the track.
Yes, next lap round, cars coming through. There should be a wave flag to warn the drivers that there's a lot of mud being dragged onto the track through turns 11, turn 12. Now we have to watch to see is anybody going to use power boost, as India also got caught up with Indonesia.
So it's South Africa leading from Mexico, France in third place, Germany, then Great Britain, New Zealand up to 6th position, and they qualified in 9th. So New Zealand, the team on a move at the moment. Team Ireland coming across the line in 15th. I thought they'd gained one. They may have lost another place as they went around on that lap. Malaysia's looking pretty racy too. Malaysia running in 11th place, the yellow colours of Team Malaysia on the back of that group, which also contains the all-orange car of host nation, the Netherlands.
Well, other than that contact that we saw in turns 9 and 10, and Italy, it appears to have an independent spin in the tires and hairpin in the first lap. So the field now beginning to settle down. The nerves that drivers must have sent as they sat on the grid waiting. They weren't really quite sure. Tire marker, I think, on the side of South Africa's car on the side pod on the left-hand side. I think there was mild contact between Mexico and South Africa somewhere on the exit of Tarzan, or maybe into that turn 2 before the hook and holes happen.
Now remember, fastest laps matter in this race as well. Battle there going on between Brazil and Ireland. That is for 14th position. New colours on the Brazilian car, new colours on the Irish car as well. Very distinctive, that bright green. Yellow flags here at this section though. And now look, the Mexico really closing up on South Africa.
I think that was a Saag slowed down correctly for those very vigorously waved yellow flags. Remember, we saw muck and dirt dragged onto the track of that part of the circuit, and Mexico maybe overran it, took advantage, but now the gap once again. Watch for France. Are they going to dive? Defence, wait and see, come down. Defence, can he go down the inside? He's going to have a look down the inside, but not close enough.
Oh, that's so close into Tarzan corner. 170 miles an hour before they got on the brakes there, jostling for position, and France couldn't quite find enough space on the inside. South Africa still leads. Mexico sliding ahead of us here. We're on board with Team France into the Hugenholtz hairpin, turn 3 on this Zandvoort course, climbing up the hill, and now into the fast sweepers.
So Team France already showing that they are not satisfied with their position, and they had a run. The strength that France has had, we saw it all last year, is that their car is very, very good in high-speed corners, where the balance of the car is critical. They got to run off the corner, they got to run with the aerodynamic toe, principally from Mexico, but he didn't have quite enough. There was defence, that was fair from Mexico. They didn't make more than one move to defend that position. Now Lapierre right on the gearbox, can do nothing around this part of the track. This is through turn 7 into turn 8, a little bit back end breaking away. All he can do is really keep in contact with Mexico all the way down the straight up to 240 km per hour, then hard on the brakes down to second gear into turns 9 and 10. Flags have been removed. Everybody knows there was a little bit of muck on the track there. It's still there, but they can make their way around it.
The fourth of these lead cars is Team Germany, and they set the fastest lap last time around. Behind them then it's Great Britain, a little bit lonely. New Zealand still in 6th, then the United States. You see the Indian car, by the way, being craned out of the way. There was no need for a safety car, and as we come around this time, another lap completed. It's South Africa opening up a gap. 3 laps completed over Mexico, France, Germany, Great Britain. There is New Zealand, a little bit on its own as well, ahead of the USA and Canada. The Netherlands defending busily here from Switzerland. Switzerland having a think.
Well, Switzerland going one way and the other, partly to try and find a way past, but also maybe to try and distract Jerome Blekemuller, to try and make him drive on his mirrors and not drive ahead. Clearly, Buemi in Team Switzerland has got more natural pace at this point, but of course the question is, can he take advantage of it? Can he find a way past? What I noticed in that camera shot looking down to the exit of turn 12 was how many cars were very, very loose on the exit of the corner.
This was the start, John, and Mexico initially ahead, but did they go a bit too wide?
Yes, he went very wide, then he cut back quite sharply, and that might have been where there was that little bit of contact. Italy just got caught in the middle of that bunch going into the Tarzan, and maybe he just got clipped and spun around. That's the blue car, we're just looking at it. Can't quite see a reason for it so far. Well, the car went down the inside. I'm not sure. It was a white car. We can't quite identify it, but there was contact.
Here we are back looking at that start again from the onboard view with how it was from France's. You could see Mexico went very wide.
And France nearly got the benefit of all that, because Saag also was a little bit wider than he need be, but the situation is that it's South Africa, Mexico and France, and that's how they started the grid.
Look how South Africa is easing away now. I say easing away, they're storming away. Look at the lead.
But watch behind, Nicolas Lapierre again getting under the rear wing of Mexico, but not really close enough to dive down the inside. It's a Duran late on the brakes. He knows he can afford to run slightly wide because there is no opportunity for France to get under him. So relatively easy defence for Mexico, but Zaug, South Africa, 1.5 seconds at the end of lap 3.
And he's taken fastest lap, so that's very important in trying to take pole position for the feature race, and he's on target to do that at the moment if he wins this. Oh, and we've got Singapore. Yeah, a Singapore and a spin. Looks as though they may have been in contact with another car. That's Christian Murchison driving for the new team.
Now, if he can't move that car in the space of the next 30 or so seconds, that could see the safety car deployed, which would bring back the advantage that particularly South Africa. There's the dive double again, Ananda Mikkola. That was a no-hooper. I mean, what Ananda Mikkola thought he might get away with there. Well, he's clobbered the right rear of Singapore's car, and that car will not move without outside assistance.
So Singapore in trouble there as a result of being hit by Indonesia. The race leader still South Africa. Second place for Mexico. France in third. Germany in fourth. Great Britain still in that rather lonely fifth place. They're some 4 seconds off the lead. 2 seconds behind the next car on the lap. And once again, South Africa looking good. Drive-through penalty to Team Indonesia as a result of that last incident.
I'm not surprised, and Switzerland has finally got past the Netherlands. Sebastian Buem, who had to be dropped from his 8th place down to 11th because of a technical infringement, has finally found a way past the Netherlands, and you see that line of cars get lined up all the way behind the Netherlands. One has made it past. Wave yellow flags. That's because the Singapore car, it is now safely on the inside of the circuit. And I think, I'm not sure, I think the driver might still be sitting in the car.
Marshall's being very effective here at Zandvoort. Very good at getting cars out of the way and not meaning that we're getting safety car. Another quick lap from South Africa on that last lap. And Great Britain still pushing on at the moment. They're in 5th place, but there's this other gaggle here, now led by Canada, running in 8th, Netherlands 9th, Switzerland right behind, China, Malaysia and Australia, all part of that gaggle.
Well, looking down at the people that have used Power Boost, the one that has used most of the running front 4 cars is in fact France. It's only got 1 shot left, and that's been used primarily to try and find a way past, well, looking just as good into turn 5, this onboard shot from the Netherlands looking forward to Switzerland. They overtook the Netherlands car 1 lap earlier, and there the drive-through penalty for Ananda Mikkola in the Indonesia car for that. Yeah. I mean, that was a poor judgment for Mikkola in attempting a pass that was never ever on.
That's right, so he's paid the price for that.
Safety car.
And it's the medical car actually that's out there. So the medical car has nipped out onto circuit to get to another part of the track, but I don't think this is going to affect the race. They're way in a separate part of the track to where the rest of the gaggle is, and we'll wait to see Adrian Zhao come through. He has come past us already, and he has a big lead, opening up all the time over Mexico. 2.4 seconds the gap now. France still in third, under a second behind Mexico. Then it's Germany, then it's Great Britain.
His advantage, Adrian Zaug's advantage, really is in the last sector, but in particular through turns 11 and 12. He is much quicker through that part of track. Now what has gone on here? There's yellow
Switzerland
flags.
Trying to get past the Netherlands.
Well, that was he had been ahead of the Netherlands. Where he lost that position, we didn't see that, but Netherlands back ahead of Switzerland, running just behind Canada.
That's still very close, this gaggle. China's in there as well. Frankie Cheng, new driver to Team China for this year, been racing in the UK over the last couple of years, in fact. Right behind the Chinese car there is Team Malaysia, then Australia, the yellow and blue colours of Australia, followed by Brazil and Ireland. Ireland on the back of this group as well, so all the way down to 15th. We've got 8th to 15th here, pretty much all together, but nobody as yet has found a way to get past it. Apart from them, Canada, they managed to nip past the Netherlands a little while ago. This was that move a moment ago, though.
Well, that's defence coming from the Netherlands, but Switzerland trying to poke the nose down the inside. And there you see, just keeps the position. But we never saw the reason why Switzerland, who'd overtaken the Netherlands 2 laps ago, lost that position.
Medical car is back into position now, so whatever they had to deal with has been dealt with, and it hasn't caused any interruption to this race. Half distance now, 6 laps have been completed out of the 12, and now as he crosses the line, it's only 5 to go for South Africa to take their first. Oh, he gets a big slide on there.
He got that white line, and white lines are always, when the track is damp, but there's a lot of more moisture in the air, particularly slippery, and he just put the wheel against that, and the back of the car just started to drift around, got the correction on, kept the car in control. But it just shows you how easy it is. One little error like that by using too much of the racetrack can catch you out.
Switzerland's dropped back a little bit off Netherlands now after their attempt to get past last time around. So the Swiss car, the third in line here, has got China breathing down his neck. There's Canada, new driver James Hinchcliffe, another teenager, been racing in Formula Atlantic in the States over this last 12 months, but he's now got to protect from this orange car once again. Bleekemolen would love to get the Dutch car back up ahead of Team Canada, and if anybody knows any tricky overtaking manoeuvres around this Zandvoort circuit, surely it's going to be Jeroen Bleekemolen.
Well, the key to passing here clearly is about exit out of that final turn 11 and 12, and the car that's done that most successfully has been South Africa. They're consistently the quickest car through that segment of circuit. Everybody behind in relative terms is not so good, and you can see from that camera shot looking up the main straight to the exit of the corner how many of the drivers are having to battle oversteer, where the back end of the car is getting away. They're losing rear end grip, and that's causing them to lose momentum on the exit of 12. But South Africa have got a perfect car for that corner.
They have, and he's getting further and further out in front. I can tell you, we're riding on board with Team China here, though. China getting a little closer to the back of the Swiss car through the S's, but as they then come up through turns 11 and 12, the last two corners on the lap, see how much curve they use on the inside, and that's where it's hard to follow another car closely.
Yes, but here's the problem. Middle, watch the steering. Well, for Frankie China, and China, not much difficulty going through the turn, but some drivers, you can see where their cars are more finely set up, that they've got oversteer on the exit, and that means they're having to breathe the engine mid-corner to keep the thing in check, to not allow it to get too far out of line and therefore get into trouble.
So things seem to have settled down into a little bit of a pattern now. South Africa continuing to open up their advantage, although their last lap wasn't quite as quick as the previous one. They do have fastest lap in this race so far, Team South Africa, on a 1:29.1, but that was a couple of laps ago, and they were in the 1 minute 30s last time around. Still watching the battle there between Canada and the Netherlands. That's for 8th place as we now go on board with Team France. We're in 3rd place with Nicolas Lapierre. Ahead is Mexico, but further up the road is Team South Africa, although I think South Africa's lead not quite as big as it was a couple of laps ago.
It's 2.2 seconds, and maybe now the car has reached the level where he's got no more speed. He had a very, very strong car in the opening laps, and particularly through these final two corners. The car looks so stable. You can hear he's able to keep the throttle open more and longer than anybody else coming through those final turns.
3 laps to go, says his pit board. Just 3 laps to go for South Africa to take their first win in A1GP, a 1:29.5, so that was a pretty quick lap that time from Zaug. The previous lap hadn't been so rapid, but he's on the pace once again. Mexico 2.5 seconds behind, France only half a second back themselves from that, and then further down the list, Germany, Great Britain, New Zealand, the United States currently running in 7th place ahead of Canada, the Netherlands in 9th, Switzerland in 10th, then it's China and Malaysia. You're watching them come through there, 11th and 12th, Australia 13th, Brazil is 14th, Ireland 15th, Lebanon in 16th, followed by the Czech Republic, then it's Greece, Indonesia, Pakistan, and out of the race both Singapore and India.
Well, basically the whole field's experiencing the same problem, and that is, where can we find that one opportunity to make a pass? And the principal place here on the circuit, of course, is at the end of the main straight into turn 1, the Tarzan hairpin, but that's all being inhibited by the inability to get off those final 2 turns and take the advantage of the slipstream. You've got 4 shots of your power boost button. Interestingly, South Africa's only ever used theirs once, where Mexico and France have used it 3 times, Great Britain's used it 3 times, and it's only Germany who's got the same as South Africa, only 1 application of power boost.
Back on board with Team Netherlands, and still no chance of finding a way past Canada. It is a fairly short race, this one, very much a sprint race. The physical effort required won't really come into play in this race. That's going to be much more a factor in the feature race. Oh, Canada, a bit of a slide there. That could have left an opportunity.
Yes, indeed, and that's the penalty if you put your wheel off the curb. With the rain that fell overnight, the grass and the pit by the side of the circuit is absolutely saturated, so anybody who makes that little error will pay the penalty.
They're lapping Pakistan. South Africa already has got past Team Pakistan. Nur Ali has now got Mexico and France bearing down on him. This could allow an opportunity perhaps for Team France to get much closer to the back of the Mexican car, but Pakistan trying to get well out of the way and does so very effectively.
And I don't know whether Nur Ali was really aware of what was going on. The speed that Mexico and France were bearing down on him through a very difficult part of the track was really a driver's focus is straight ahead, and two cars much quicker than his car, desperate to get through, and in particular France looking with 2 laps to go, and in effect by the time they get across the start-finish line, that will be the last chance France has got to make any impression, because the final lap he will not be able to get past, in my view, into the tires, and the race will be over.
That's right, so we are leading around to the final lap now, and here we are with Team France looking for any opportunity to close up and perhaps have one last run down the main straight towards Tarzan. When they come out of these next 2 corners, it will be to start effectively their final lap. He's not quite close enough here, needs to be shadowing that Mexican car a little more closely.
He does, but the France car and South Africa car have always been the best cars in these high-speed contexts, but there you see the gap. There's no opportunity at all for France to do anything with Mexico. Mexico has done enough to consolidate that second place, and of course the only place that Mexico would be under threat would have been into Tarzan, and the next time round they'll be on the slowing down lap. This 12-lap sprint race will be over.
And South Africa are heading for victory, and not only that, it looks like they're going to be taking fastest lap as well. They will guarantee themselves the pole position for the feature race, because look, fastest lap of 129.125. He's done everything perfectly. He had pole for the sprint race, he's taken fastest lap, he's going to win this feature race, and that gives him 3 points, the minimum number of points you can get. That will guarantee pole for the feature race. But what a moment this is going to be for the entire A1 Team South Africa.
Well, I mean, it's an amazing event. I mean, to turn up in a series like this and just take control of it as he did do in that final qualifying session on Saturday afternoon. A young man, 19 years of age, and I mean a name that really is going to resonate through the walls of motorsport around the world. Everybody will know Adrian Zaug has arrived. Can you go and take the checkered flag?
He has arrived. He's driven absolutely flawlessly here. He took pole position under A1's unique qualifying system, where it's a real pressure cooker as you get to the last session. He dealt with that beautifully. He dealt with his first ever rolling start in a top international motor race, and it's Team South Africa to take their first ever win and become the 9th nation to win in A1GP. Mexico finishes in 2nd place. 3rd goes to France. A solid 4th for Germany, and 5th place goes to Great Britain.
And those 2 drivers, Germany and Great Britain, really just having fairly lonely afternoons in this first part of A1GP here in Zandvoort.
Behind Great Britain, then New Zealand taking 6th place, then it's the USA 7th, Canada in 8th place, and the Netherlands come home in 9th position, much to the delight there of the fans in the grandstand. So much support for the orange car this weekend, and Jeroen Bleekemolen, who had this thrust upon his shoulders last minute, has done well. Team France, though, they're celebrating a 3rd place finish, but what about that result for South Africa? Dana Cooper on the left there, Jean-Paul Driot on the right. Driot now looking after the engineering for Team South Africa, and Driot, who looked after France and Mexico last year. Now their attention is on the South African car, and what a start to that relationship it is. But for the Dutch fans, they know their man's going to be strong in the second race into Parc Ferme, and the celebrations beginning already. Adrian Zaug is over the moon. There he is with Tokyo Sawali, the team owner, the seat holder for A1 Team South Africa. The result then, South Africa the winner from Mexico and France, Germany, Great Britain in 5th place, New Zealand in 6th, then USA, Canada, the Netherlands and Switzerland finishing in 10th place, having been moved back on that grid, of course, for this sprint race. Further on behind them, China finished in 11th place. It's a good effort for China, and of course if they can get inside the top 10 of the feature, they'll be in the points. Behind them we had Malaysia, Australia, Brazil, then Ireland, Lebanon, Czech Republic, Greece, Indonesia, Pakistan, Singapore out of the event, India, Italy as well, unfortunately non-finishers, and that all-important fastest lap to South Africa, which will mean they will start from pole position in the feature. Well, there are the top 3 then as the anthem plays out. An absolutely brilliant achievement for Adrian Zaug. Tony Texera there, Deputy Chairman of A1, presenting the first of the medals. That goes to Nicolas Lapierre of Team France, and as they begin their title defence I think they'll be relatively happy with a third place finish. For Salvador Duran, this is a tremendous result. He's had a tough season in F3 and now he has bounced back into A1GP with a second place. But we have a brand new winner, a new star. It's Adrian Zalb. He drives for South Africa, and if he continues to drive like that, well, they will be a factor for the outright title. No prize money on offer for the sprint race. He's going to have to do it all again in the feature to earn the big money. But just look on the smile on that young man's face. It is tremendous to see. He is delighted.
As a 19-year-old, he's rewriting history. And to get pole position like this for the sprint race, and now he's ready for the main race, is good. But I told him, don't pace, don't try to outstrip yourself. Just enjoy, do what you enjoy the most, which is driving. I'm sure everybody's happy with him back in South Africa. I'm sure the whole African continent is happy with him.
The hopes. Never ever give in. The tears.
They've stood the test.
The triumph.
Oh, it's gone straight in!
The almost.
Really should have been 1-1.
The oh so close.
It's been saved.
They live to perform. Now they must give the performance of a lifetime.
This is the best squad yet.
These celebrities are 1 week away from becoming legends.
We will win.
The countdown to the live match starts tonight at 7 and continues all next week on Sky One.
I like an apple. I like a square cut. I like a funny car. I like a monster truck. Color popping, I'm funding stomach. Coco map, I stop nothing plummet. But on top, if I eat the crocodile.
Hey guys, need a ride? I'm sorry guys, I can't take you all the way. Oh no, we're out of gas. Looks like we're here for the night. Well, let's get you two out of those wet clothes.
The city has two suns.
My family's lived on this hill forever. This is my home.
Only one can rule.
I grew up on this hill. These are my people. You can be completely undone by your brother.
He's a plague, Tommy. We gotta take care of it before it kills us all.
He's my brother. This is my neighborhood, and it always will be.
You and we're not the same in any way.
Brotherhood, the brand new series, coming soon, only on FX.
We could become cops or criminals. When you're facing a loaded gun, what's the difference?
This is who we're after.
An undercover cop.
He's gonna find out who I am and kill me.
A traitor inside the system.
I can get the rat.
From director Martin Scorsese, Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, Jack Nicholson, and Mark Wahlberg.
Do you want him to chop me up and feed me to the poor? Is that what you guys want?
The Departed, a Martin Scorsese picture.
Opportunities like this don't come along very often. When they do, you've got to grab them. If you buy premium bonds before the end of October, you'll be included in the December draw. It's special because they're celebrating 50 years of premium bonds. They're going to make 5 people millionaires. Where can you get an investment that could change your life overnight without risking a penny of your capital? Only NS&I.
Visit nsandi.com.
Hey, Billy, how'd you like to drive this pulling machine?
Yeah! Yeah!
And look what you'll be pulling. The new Samsung D900 Ultra Slim Slider with 3-megapixel camera.
Headphones for you. Take her away, Billy boy.
Yeah! Yeah!
Welcome back to the Circuit Park Zandvoort in Holland. Team South Africa, the first to record maximum points with a sprint race victory here in Amsterdam. So plenty to mull over. Let's get the thoughts of Tony and Andy in the studio. Tony, a slow rolling start. What did you make at the beginning of that race?
I thought it was far too slow, and it demonstrated the sort of real lack of experience from Adrian Zorg. He's never done a rolling start before, and I think, you know, Andy and I were watching saying, well, it's way too slow. He should now be speeding up and getting down there, but Andy, you would have put the boot in, wouldn't you?
He's totally disadvantaged himself, in my opinion, because the faster the rolling start, the less advantage your competitors can have against you. And as you can see here, Mexico got the jump on him, outbraked him into turn one, ran high, a little bit locking up on the entry, and Zaug was lucky to get that position back. What did impress me about Zaug was his pace on his first lap. He was really quick, and he made that gap, and that gap maintained for the whole race. As you can see there, he's pulled away from Mexico already. That to me shows massive confidence. I don't know what you think about it, Tony.
Oh, absolutely, but the other thing, it was clean. They were fighting like crazy all through the first corner, through, you know, and through Hunsrück as well. But the way they got all cleanly, there was a couple little incidents there, as you saw, spinning at the back. But other than that, it was a very good race.
We have spoken this weekend about the new strength and depth of the A1 drivers this season. How competitive a race was that throughout the whole of the field?
Well, they are still driving for the feature race, although they need to get the top positions. The top 6 pulls you forward and the back pulls you back. But in the middle of the grid, from 8th through to 15th, it was nose to tail the whole race. And when you throw a pit stop strategy into that as well, I mean, it's going to be very tough back here, Tony. I think it's going to be a long race for these guys.
It is, but it's nice to see improvements. It's nice to see China and Malaysia in amongst there. It's nice to see James Hinchcliffe, for example, who was 8th, and as you see him there just leading this bunch with Jerome Bleekemolen behind him. You know, his first race in A1GP, and they did themselves a heck of a lot of credit out there. So let's hope they can do it in the future.
Let's hope indeed. Let's also head back to Zandvoort and join our reporter there, Lee McKenzie.
Thanks very much, Georgie. Welcome to Zandvoort. We can expect a sea of orange here this afternoon. People have been flooding in since Friday, really. We've already had the sprint race, the first race of the 2006-2007 series, and it was really a pretty lonely race for this man beside me, Darren Manning. You started in 5th, finished 5th. What was it like out there?
Yeah, like you say, it was extremely lonely, really. Conditions were a little bit changeable, to say the least, to begin with. You know, guys were going out on wets through the pit lane, and everybody ended up starting on slicks. It was a little bit wet offline, but yeah, it was a little bit disappointing, really. Track conditions overnight had changed a lot. The track had got a lot of grip in it, and a bit of a shame for us because we were looking one of the fastest cars out there all weekend, and then come this morning in the race, it was yeah, really bad oversteer, and just conditions had changed. So make a few tweaks to the car, hopefully it'll be all right for the feature race.
Now, the way the feature race is set up, you've got to be Carol Vorderman to work out this point system. Where are you starting?
Yeah, could be in the pit lane. I don't really know. I think probably stay in 5th. I think I don't think I was any faster than the guys in front of me to score any kind of lower points, if you like. So I think 5th's probably a safe bet.
From what we've seen so far, it looks as if this season's going to be much tougher, a lot more close competition than last year. Yeah, definitely. You're seeing already there's a good few guys that are challenging for the win, and obviously a good first win for South Africa. And you know, it's not the dominance of the French team as it was last year. So yeah, all weekend it's been really tight. Some new guys getting up there, some young guys getting up there as well, which is good to see. And yeah, just hope that we can stay a bit close to the front in the future. Darren, thanks very much. Well, the thing which has struck me over the past few days is the confidence in some of the teams in the pit lane. It's not going to be so easy for France this year. It's always more difficult to retain a title than it is to win a title. A few other changes to A1GP, some new teams, some new faces, and of course the rookies. So we've got plenty to look forward to this season. Back to you.
Thanks very much indeed, Lee. Speaking of all things Darren Manning, the team GBR driver is focused on his new challenge presented by A1GP. But when I caught up with him in Amsterdam this week, he explained getting to this point hasn't always been easy. Darren, first of all, thanks very much for joining us ahead of A1 Zandvoort in Amsterdam. We are this afternoon enjoying the warm weather as well.
Absolutely.
Tell us a bit more about your involvement with A1 Team GBR.
Well, it started all at the end of last year with the race there in China. They drafted me in, seeing as Robbie couldn't do it, and I guess seeing as I did so well, and I actually wanted to carry on as well. I loved it, and you know, it's a good opportunity to see this new series that's been going on and been hyped up and everything. A lot of my friends have been driving in there as well, and it was a good opportunity for me to see what it was all about, and fortunately they've taken me up on my offer and their offer, and we've come to some agreement to do some racing this year.
So let's go way back a few years and start at the beginning. How did it all begin for you?
Well, it all started like everybody nowadays really, when I was karting as a young guy at 10 years old, long time ago now, but you know, just started off as a bit of a hobby, and you know, a bit of fun to begin with. Then started winning races, and as the bug bit, you know, we just started to do more and more. Got involved with a manager who took me motor racing in like Vauxhall Junior, and took me through the ranks. We kind of paid for the racing through hard work and graft, as it were. And it was a bit of a long route because we didn't have the big money and things, but with a lot of hard work and a lot of kind sponsors, we made it all the way.
How tough a journey is it for someone who is inspired with the world of motor racing to make it actually onto the track as a racing driver?
Well, I wouldn't advise it to anybody trying to start out again now. You know, it was very hard. You know, I think the biggest problem is it's so financially, you know, orientated. You know, the teams need the money to race and buy the tyres and run the cars, buy the cars, and you know, they haven't got it unless they're at the top level and got big corporate backing or manufacturer backing in some of the higher level formulas. So you know, even to start off the junior levels, you're talking, you know, nowadays it's like over £100,000, and nobody's really got that anymore. So it was very hard, but you know, I worked hard as an instructor at Silverstone. You know, £100 a day, all goes, you know, 5 days like that, and you've got a set of tyres. So that's how I looked at it. And with my manager, we worked with getting the sponsors, and you know, just knocked on enough doors and got the money.
So survival of the fittest. And speaking of which, what is the training like? What training do you put in as a motor racing driver, and in particular for A1?
Well, that's the worst thing. Well, I say the worst thing. Some guys like it, but I mean, that's the work part of the job. You know, blatting around these tracks at, you know, speeds close to 200 miles an hour. They're pretty physical things to drive, and even when you're starting out in your career, go-karting and things, you have to be extremely fit. Not so much strength-wise, but as the cars get bigger and heavier and more downforce, they do have to get some strength fitness in there, strength training in there as well. But it's mainly, you know, cardiovascular work and you know, hours on a treadmill sweating. So,
what are the aspects that you love so much about it?
Well, I think it's just the winning is the big thing. I think that really keeps you going and makes it all worthwhile. You know, the hard work, the hours, you know, spent in the gym, you know, the hours knocking on doors and coming up through the ranks, and you know, it's 99% failure most of the time. You know, there's only ever one winner at all these races. So when you do win, it is extra special. And a little birdie tells me that he's rather good friends with you, which is our very own Andy Frio. Yeah, he best be watching as well. He never trains. No, he trains too much. He's like a hard worker. He needs to learn from me a bit, just chill out a bit. Andy, take note. Darren, thanks very much for speaking to us, and good luck ahead of Zandvoort. Thanks very much. Having a go at how diligent you are in your training regime. What do you think of that? Oh, I don't know. This guy, I mean, he's just one of these guys that sits in the car and he's quick straight away, you know. But no, I've had a lot of fun with Darren over the years. He's a lovely guy, and he's, you know, we've got a lot of respect for each other. Jolly good. He's also come a long way because he's currently showing Caprice around his car in Amsterdam. We're going to take a short break. Coming up next, though, uninterrupted live race coverage of the feature.
As winter closes in, we take you to warmer climes. Freddie and his England team warm up for the Ashes. Unbelievable! Oh, the drama's not over yet. And the World Cup. See every game live from India of the ICC Champions Trophy, starting with Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, next Saturday morning at 10, Sky Sports Extra.
Introducing the miracle of fusion, a revolutionary technology and a unique idea come together to create new Gillette Fusion. Until now, pressure could cause irritation. Fusion has 5 blades spaced closer together to reduce pressure with less irritation and more comfort. Flip Fusion over, a precision trimmer for those tricky places. The comfort of 5 blades, the precision of 1. Gillette's best shave ever in manual or battery power. New Gillette Fusion.
What if the air was clean again? would the grass be greener? Would you live longer? Feel better? What if all cars were like the Prius? With its hybrid Synergy Drive technology, it emits up to 1 tonne less CO2 per year. Hybrid Synergy Drive by Toyota. Today's technology for tomorrow's people.
Stare into the fire. Now, ask yourself, do you want your burger fried? Or big, juicy and flame grilled?
I get up in the morning, kick the covers from my bed. The sunlight in my eyes, playing tricks with my head. I work like a dog on the job every day.
The wonderful thing about this time of year is that you can always be sure of quite a gathering.
That's the right time, alright. I wanna be with
Magnus Irish Cider.
in the night time.
Time dedicated to you.
They call it the city that never sleeps. Yeah, right.
The last flight to Heathrow. We've flown more New Yorkers than any other airline. And if we can keep them happy.
Feel you're in the wrong job? CompuTeach can help you train for a new career in IT that could totally change your life. It could lead to real job satisfaction, better pay and better prospects. In fact, a better career's in reach with CompuTeach.
Training with CompuTeach has opened up a world of possibilities.
For me, distance learning was the perfect solution.
I feel like I've really achieved something.
I've already got a great job in IT and I'm still studying.
It's the best thing I ever did.
A better career's in reach with CompuTeach. Call 0800 657 657, visit computeach.co.uk or text Sky Sports to 64118.
It's ready.
Introducing Gillette Fusion Hydrogel. Fusion's hydrating emollients and lubricants form an invisible layer that protects your skin from the first stroke to the last, adding comfort to your shave. New Gillette Fusion Hydrogel.
Welcome back to the Circuit Park Zandvoort for the Dutch A1GP. This taking place a little earlier. Darren Manning showing caprice around his A1GP car. Let's hope he's not too distracted ahead of the main event, the feature. The sprint providing plenty of excitement. Let's hope this brings you more. John Watson and Ben Edwards, your commentators.
It's the first event of the second season of A1GP, the first ever in the Netherlands and the fourth ever A1 event to be held in Europe since its inception. The series beginning here in Europe with the two races at Zandvoort and then in the Czech Republic, and it will complete its global tour in Europe as well at Brands Hatch next April. In between times, we're guaranteed some excited racing and some passionate flag waving from the fans, and none more passionate, I think, than the Dutch fans who are here today, and we'll see, I'm sure, many of them following it around the world. Now, as we prepare for the feature race, a race that will be led away by South Africa, let's take a little bit more of a detailed look at how they will line up for this second race, but the big point scorer and the money payer when it comes to A1GP. Remember, there are $300,000 to the winner of this race, and South Africa would love to take that big prize along with the 10 points that goes with winning. Mexico on the front row with them, then France and Germany on row number 2. Third row sees Great Britain up against New Zealand. New Zealand gained some places on the opening lap, but Great Britain also fought their way past the United States, that is behind in 7th place alongside Canada. Switzerland and the Netherlands are then next up, and Dutch driver Jeroen Bleekemolen really going to be pushing hard in the early laps. Malaysia and China are on row number 6, Brazil and Australia on row 7. Australia have had a little bit of a disappointing weekend so far. It could change now. Ireland have had troubles too. They're back on row 8 with Indonesia. Lebanon and the Czech Republic are on row 9. New teams, Greece and Singapore, are absolutely together, side by side on row 10. Then India, Italy and Pakistan complete the 23 nations who are contesting this first meeting of A1GP. So Greece and Singapore, the two new entries. Big learning curve for those two teams, John, but nonetheless some pretty impressive performances from both of them.
Yes, I mean, it's been very difficult coming in at the last minute, particularly for Singapore and their driver Christian Murchison, because he was literally thrown in at the deep end on Saturday morning when the prime driver was unable to take part. He developed tonsillitis overnight and Murchison got dumped into the car. And equally for Greece, their deal only came together in the last days before this event here in Holland, so the time taken to get the car together, the team together, was literally the last second to get the car on the grid.
Well, we're waiting for the start signal to be given, and the Prime Minister of the Netherlands here, Jan-Peter Balkenende, is here, and he is going to give us the little address.
Gentlemen, for the pride of your nation, start your engines.
The signal given by the Prime Minister of the Netherlands. The horns play in the grandstands and the V8 engines begin to fire up.
Well, they do love the motorsport here at Zandvoort in the Netherlands, be it DTM, Formula 3, the Grand Prix Masters, of course, probably the event now at Zandvoort most famous, but maybe after A1GP's left, that's going to take that mantle away from all those other premier events.
Yes, it's been a great venue for motor racing over the years. The first Formula 1 Grand Prix was held back in 1952. It's the first A1GP event, and it's going to be South Africa and Mexico who will lead them off the line. Now remember, we had a rolling start for the first race of the day. It'll be a standing start for this one, but they will have a green flag lap first to get some tyre temperature.
Yes, and of course the pole position is swapped from the right to the left, so if there's any advantage to be held, it will be with South Africa and Adrian Zaug. He will start marginally ahead on the grid of Mexico, but we know Salvador Duran is prepared to take every opportunity to get past the young South African into the Tarzan, and if he can make it stick this time, well, then he will be able to control the pace of the race, and that one just slightly slow. Germany very anxious to get away, maybe just a little bit of a clutch as we will go on board with France, and look at the way he's moving the car around. Car is stopped on the grid, waved yellow flags. We've got one car remaining on the grid, and it is Malaysia, and has there been contact of Malaysia's directly behind another
he's
car.
stuck behind another.
Nice. Suspension on Malaysia's car has been damaged. It is broken, and that was Switzerland who stalled. And Alex Jung in the Malay car is now going to have to drive off track into the pit lane with a broken rear suspension due to that contact with a stationary Swiss car. Now I wonder, has any damage been done to the Swiss car?
Would you believe it? Team Malaysia's race comes to an end before they even get going on the green flag lap. He misjudged how much the rear wheel sticks out. It does stick out quite a long way, as he's just discovered. Tried to get past, just clipped the back of the Swiss car. Now I think the Swiss car has actually got away, John.
Yes, they did. They managed to get the engine started. So that will mean Sebastian Buemi will make his way back. He'll have to start at the back of the grid because he has lost all the position that he had. So even further setback for Switzerland, having lost their grid position. There we see Alex Jung, and he will wonder what has gone wrong. But he clipped the rear of the Swiss cars. He tried to make his way around, maybe being slightly impatient, and understandably so, because he knew that if he didn't move at the point he moved, he was certainly going to lose all chance of regaining his original start position, which would have been 11th on the grid.
Well, I tell you what, that team, the Malaysian team, I bet you they go to work on that car, because you never know what's going to happen in a situation like this. We might have a start and then a red flag. They've got to get to work on it and hope that they may get a chance still to run him. It's probably bent a wishbone or a toe link, and it may be that they can replace that, get him out, but they'll obviously hope for problems for everyone else to actually have any chance at all.
Well, I think teams are certainly prepared for pretty much every eventuality, but that primarily involves the nose, the front wings, areas around the front of the car. They would never normally expect to see their driver, as he moves off his start position, to clip the rear wheel of another car and damage what is probably a toe link at the bottom of rear suspension on that car.
So drama already. The fireworks going off from the crowd around this track, having a good old look around, try and see what's broken there, see if they can replace it, but of course there's no way they're going to do it. If this race goes according to plan and we get the standing start and a clean run into the first corner and no red flags, that's it really. It's all over for Team Malaysia before the race has even got underway. The rest of the 22 nations now still making their way around. As you said, Switzerland will have to start from the very back. It leaves a little bit of a gap. In fact, quite a big gap for Brazil, because Brazil was going to sit behind both Malaysia and Switzerland, and now there are two car spaces, or will be two car spaces, directly in front of the Brazilian car being driven by Tuca Rocha. young Brazilian driver who sat on the sidelines throughout most of the first season of A1GP, but he's got his big opportunity, and he's got an even bigger one now. He's got a big gap in front of him on the grid. There's the view from the French car, Nicolas Lapierre, and everyone else moving into position.
And I mean, this is a very tense moment. I'm very tense sitting in the commentary booth because there's an awful lot going to happen between here and Tarzan. A standing start is a totally different start to that of a rolling start, and for many of the drivers in A1GP this season, this is new to them, not least of all Adrian Zaug on that pole position on the left alongside the more experienced Salvador Duran for Mexico.
We're all set then for the first feature race of the second season of A1. Lights go out and away we go, and who's going to make the start? South Africa, France trying to get through. Mexico's made a brilliant start. Mexico and South Africa has been swamped. South Africa down to 4th place. Here comes Great Britain. Great Britain going around the outside. Darren Manning's made a good start, but he's going to emerge in 3rd.
And Nico Hultberg trying to get alongside South Africa. South Africa had a terrible start. That was inexperience. And look how Zaug has gone off, and he's been in the turn 2. Now something went wrong, we couldn't quite see. We'll have a review of that. So the winner of race 1 is out on the first lap in turn 2.
You said it would all happen off the standing start, John. Absolutely right. Mexico got away well. South Africa made a poor start. Great Britain made a great start, but have just lost out a little bit now to Germany. So they've gone back to 4th position. Germany now running in 3rd place, and A1 title holders France are running in a very dangerous looking 2nd position.
Now we wait to see whether the corner workers can get that South Africa car removed to safety quickly, otherwise we may have once again the safety car being deployed to bring the field back under the control until that car is moved to safety. It's in a vulnerable point of the track right now.
Netherlands up to 7th place as a result of the incidents that we've seen already. Mexico leads. 2nd place France. Germany close behind in 3rd. Look at the Netherlands there, protecting position from China. China running in 8th place. That's Kongtru Cheng, Frankie Cheng as we know him, who's going very well. He's got the Chinese car in the points. Ireland there getting squeezed out a bit.
Yes, I'm just trying to get the rail around Italy, and the tail enders were making up the end of the field, Pakistan. So all the excitement occurred going into turn 2 when South Africa, for inexplicable reasons, we just seem to see the car go straight on. He didn't really attempt to turn the corner, and we have a review of that no doubt in a moment or two as the field filters their way into, for the second time, the Tarzan hairpin.
China again, a nice tight line there for Frankie Cheng, but Great Britain with New Zealand right behind. This is 4th, 5th. Then they've got Canada there as well. Rest of them coming through. Indonesia a little bit lonely. India, Greece, Italy running. Ireland, though, way down in a 16th place, so 17th place, in fact. So that's a bit disappointing for Team Ireland. And up front, there, well, what's happened? I think that's France. I'm not sure. Czech Republic's in the pits without a front wing.
Well, that's contact with somebody. We didn't see that.
France is leading. France is in front of Mexico. We didn't see what happened, but France has now taken the lead.
Well, once now France gets its head into clear air, there's going to be no stopping. I tell you, Nicolas Lapierre, he has got the car. He's got a comparable car to that South Africa had, and that car and South Africa's car to me are the best 2 cars currently on circuit. They've got the best rear stability of all the field, and Nicolas Lapierre, a winner, a multiple winner last year for France, he knows how to win races. And now we've got this battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th of Mexico, Germany and Great Britain, and inevitably it will be held up by the car leading because they will be in defensive mode, while the other 2 behind, with New Zealand following Great Britain, will be in attack mode.
Now let's see if we can find out what happened. Oh, it was a mistake from Duran for Mexico. That's what allowed France ahead.
He did. He made the same mistake in the first race. In the sprint race, ran too wide, and Nicolas Lapierre didn't need a second invitation to say there's the lead of the race taken, and once he is in the lead, he will just drive away.
So I'm afraid Thomas Kostka is out of his first A1GP feature race. The Czech Republic will be hoping for better things next week when Thomas Enger returns to that car. He's racing in the States this weekend. But here's a familiar picture. It's Team France leading an A1GP race. Nothing in front of them, trying to pull away from Mexico, Germany, Great Britain, New Zealand, Canada there. Then the Dutch car ahead of China, behind China, Switzerland and the USA.
And now that Nicolas Lapierre has got the lead, he can control the pace of the race. He is not required to try and pull out a huge lead. The only concern that anybody will have, of course, is when it comes to that mandatory pit stop, that everything goes well this year. And there have been modifications to the suspension, to the wheels, to the hubs, to the hub nut, to make the wheel change procedure a much more straightforward one than we had initially in A1GP.
Riding on board with Frankie Cheng for Team China. He's going well at the moment, holding on to 8th position. China's only ever been once in the points in A1GP, and he's in a thoroughly deserved 8th place. He's been up around that top 10 mark all weekend. And you can see from the onboard graphics there, the gears down to 2nd gear, back on the power here as he accelerates along this short straight leading into these 2 critical final corners. 4th gear through the first one, turn 11, now accelerates up out of here. Now, little breathe on the throttle perhaps there, and through the Lyondike curve, the final bend, and onto the straight.
And you can see on board with China that even Frankie Chen was having to apply a little bit of opposite lock as he got 3/4 way round the corner, but a lock up from Germany going into the Tarzan, and another one lock up from Team GBR following in 4th place.
Team Switzerland has got a drive-through penalty. It's been deemed to have done something wrong, not quite sure what it's for, but they've got a penalty. Italy there trying to move on. Greece, the white and blue car, new to A1GP and under pressure from Italy, but I thought Framoni he'd done it, he hasn't, and Team Ireland might try and take advantage of this.
Well, if I was Michael Devaney, I wouldn't be too impatient, because these 2 cars, Greece and Italy, are probably going to get themselves tangled somewhere, if not sooner, maybe later, and Michael Devaney does not need to put the Team Ireland car into too much close proximity while these 2 nations battle it out.
It is close between these 2, isn't it? Driving for Greece, we've had 3 different drivers in the car, but this is Takis Kaitazis, who's raced in F3 in Greece. He's also raced in touring cars. Now, let's just see what's on. Germany's got past Mexico. You're watching from Great Britain here, and Germany has just slipped into 2nd place. Mexico down to 3rd. Great Britain still in 4th.
And Nico Hülkenberg, another German Bunterkin, coming through the motor racing ranks, and highly rated indeed by David Sayers, who is running the Team Germany effort this year. He's got past Mexico. Mexico clearly not able to find the pace that they and again, just watch the back of the car going through turn 11. And I think the problem that Salvador Duran has is he's suffering from a back end of the car that has not giving him confidence, and therefore he's not able to drive the car at the level. Particularly now, somebody's coming into the pits, says it's too early to do a wheel tire change, but Canada dives on the inside, doesn't get past New Zealand.
I think it's Switzerland making their drive-through penalty.
It is.
There we are. So Sebastian Buemi's being a good boy, just 17. He's 18 at the end of October, the end of the month. So let's just see. This was the moment that Germany got past. That was the end of the moment anyway, that Germany managed to nip past Team Mexico and make the move stick. That was a good effort from Nico Hülkenberg. I wondered for a moment whether Great Britain, Darren Manning, was going to be able to pass as well, but he's still in 4th place. He's ahead of New Zealand in 5th position. Switzerland back out on track as they deal with that damaged car of South Africa, which went off on the 1st lap.
Although all these battles have been taking place behind this man, Nicolas Lapierre, for France. There's the look back at the start. Let's have a look again, Ben, and catch what it was that went wrong. First, it was the start, certainly a very, very poor start for Adrian Zaug, and then he, on the outside, suddenly just locks up. Well, he just simply locked the wheels, and once he'd done that, he was a passenger and over in the grass and straight in. And what a sad end to a superb start to Adrian Zaug's career in A1GP.
Well, he is a rookie and he's allowed the odd mistake or two. That was his own mistake by the looks of things, but he had success earlier on today, and he will have plenty more, I'm sure, the sort of pace he demonstrated in that sprint race. But returning to what's going on now, Germany, can they do anything about the lead that Team France has got? Let's just watch them around this next lap. 5 laps completed, and no, France still with a faster lap on that last one than Team Germany.
Well, prior to all this, Germany, Great Britain, Mexico, they were all racing each other, and consequently Mexico, who was leading that group initially, was slowing the pace down. He couldn't go any quicker. That allowed France to draw away. But now that Hülkenberg has got clear of that battle for 2nd place, he's now picking up pace, but he's still averaging about 0.6, 0.7 of a second a lap slower than Nicolas Lapierre for France, who's got a comfortable lead of just under 4 seconds.
There's no doubt, I think, that Team China here, Frankie Chen, is capable of lapping a little faster. He's staying right on the back of the Netherlands car, but meanwhile Netherlands, Jeroen Bleekemolen, is also closing up every now and then on Team Canada just ahead, and also New Zealand's not far ahead in this bunch. There's a real group of cars all tied together, each perhaps looking for a tiny mistake from the other to take advantage of. So far so good, but we're still in the very early stages of the race. We're still 3 laps to go before we're into the pit window. Then the strategy will come to the fore.
And also that'll be the point when the fatigue begins to set in, as we saw the cars come through turn 5, 6 and 7. That's the part of the racetrack where the drivers are really suffering, especially through 6 down to 7. It's a very long gradual curve, which then towards the end and approaching turn 7 starts to tighten, and it's a heavy load on the upper body and the necks and the head of the drivers.
New Zealand still leading this group, then out through turn 12, Lyondike corner, huge crowd up on the banking on the outside there, seeing their Dutch car currently running in 7th place. That's okay, reasonable position, keeps you in good shape for the latter part of this race when the pit stops will make all the difference. Quite a deep line taken into the corner by New Zealand. China taking a slightly tighter line in at the back of that group. Wonderful view looking down over the cars as they go into turn 2. That was the area that South Africa went off at, and of course it's game over for Team South Africa in this feature race. We've also lost the Czech Republic, we lost Malaysia as well, although no, Malaysia is back out in the race, so they did repair the car and get him running, but he's lost quite a few laps as a result.
Well, there's the overhead shot looking down into turn 5, and there the corner, turn 6 is from this point here. That's a curve. It looks a straight, but it's actually a long curve, and the G-forces just build up. Of course, the load in the steering also, and the teams have worked very hard to give their drivers a greater comfort zone than they would normally have on other racetracks. This circuit is a very tough circuit, and now for Nicolas Lapierre, for France, he's in that ideal situation. He's got no traffic ahead of him, he's got nobody close behind. The nearest is Germany, 3.7 seconds. There's no pressure, so he is able to control the pace of the race and drive the racetrack as he sees fit.
Yeah, it's a perfect position for Nicolas Lapierre for Team France. It's a position they're very accustomed to, having taken 13 wins in the first season of A1GP. I don't think they're going to have it all easy. They might have got it all right here in this feature race, but certainly the start went very much in their favour, and then that little mistake from Mexico allowing them to go through. Mexico struggling though, because Great Britain is now also past Mexico. Great Britain now in 3rd position. Mexico still struggling with the back end grip of the car.
Yeah, we spoke to Salvador Duran earlier, and he was saying that just simply they've got to find a way to give him more self-confidence, give the car more rear end grip. But if that's what the problem is, and I suspect that it is, then he's really going to sit there as a passenger. The best he can hope for is when they come in to make a tyre change, that mandatory pit stop, that at the same time, or in fact they can't do it, there's only 6 people available there. We see teams preparing already, but to maybe make an aerodynamic change, maybe take some of the front wing out of the car to help the steering load, and therefore make the life of the driver something that he can actually survive and get through the 45 laps or 70 minutes.
There's Paul, Team Switzerland, having had that drive-through penalty, now running down in 18th position, so it's going to be a tough one. It might be well worth their while going for a different strategy to the others. 8 laps. Once they've done 8 laps, the pit lane window is open, and we're going to see that mark coming up in just a moment. So the first few pit stops are going to be made very soon. Team Germany currently running in 2nd place. It's going to be a nerve-wracking time for the mechanics. The first pit stop of the season. Germany in 2nd place there. Great Britain in 3rd. Darren Manning driving for Great Britain this weekend. Robbie Kerr, who drove last year, busy this weekend at Le Mans, and Darren got the nod for this weekend. Now there's Team Mexico, struggling for gripper touch, running in 4th place.
One of the other things that Salvador mentioned to us was that he also was suffering from a heavy bruise on his elbow on his left arm, which was just simply because he was using it to lever himself in the cockpit to get some support. Now that was something that probably wouldn't ordinarily give you a problem, but on a racetrack like this, which is so physical, any problem that you have physically will work against you, and that combined with a car that is maybe not helping him as much as he needs is the reason why we've seen Mexico drop down to 4th place, and they're now just under 2 seconds behind Team Great Britain and 7.5 seconds behind race leader France.
We could see lots of changes when the pit stops are made, because so many cars are running in close attendance to one another. Very likely to see some big changes. You can see that Italy's got past Greece. Italy have just managed that move, and Ireland now trying to do likewise. You've got to watch out. Basil Shaban is there for Lebanon as well. Switzerland does make the first pit stop.
So let's watch and see the Swiss team, how they do it. It looks pretty smooth to me. Gets back out, and Ireland caught between Greece and Lebanon. And Michael Devaney, another driver who lost a full practice session on Saturday morning because of a fuel pressure problem. And of course, any track time that is lost is track time you can never ever make up. And in terms of car setup, well, they just really are having to try and second guess what's going to happen now for a race of this duration.
So pit lane is now open. Switzerland were able to take advantage of that because they were further back. Once the leader had crossed the line to complete 8 laps, they were able to come into the pit, so they took advantage of that fact. and they'll hope to get some clean air and get some quick running. It might help Switzerland later on in the race. Now we wait to see who else is going to make a stop, and it's the Netherlands going for an early stop. So Jeroen Bleekemolen, I think that's Brazil also heading into the pits. Brazil coming in from 10th place.
I'll tell you, it'll be a welcome break for both these drivers just to come into the pits so early. They've got a long way to go. 36 laps remain. So the Dutch team run out the car stationary. They can't do anything with the car until that car is stationary in the pit lane. Now you see the camera, the head camera. So let's see. It goes on. The left front man's done a good job. Jack's down. Okay, Jeroen, get the car in gear, and that's just worked. The back of the car was slower than on the front. So the front two guys had gotten out of the way, but he was still being held by the man with the lollipop. And there, Brazil has to fall in line behind. Now they must stay inside, and well, the broken line. I don't know what the ruling is on that. That is a broken white line, so they may be allowed to. Pakistan has stopped out on track. Well, that's coming into the pits.
That's coming into the pits.
I think he's locked it up. Yes.
Real problems for everybody else who wants to make a pit stop, because he could well be blocking the pit lane entrance. I'm not sure. No, there might be just space around the front of his car, but that's very tight.
There is not an awful lot of space, but he has locked it up coming into the pits and stalled, and he is stuck there. And of course the marshals couldn't see it because he was hidden behind the barrier. Now the pennies drop. They're running to get that car. He's going to have to find the car, get the safety mechanism to put the car into neutral before they can push it out of the way.
Team France leading and lapping fast, and now somebody's coming in. Two cars trying to come into the pit. It's Great Britain. Have they managed to? Yes, they have. They managed to get round the front. I think Mexico was going to.
New Zealand was looking to come in, I think, and they decided not to. And but you've got to slow down. Waved yellow flags. But New Zealand, I think, were told, no, don't come in. And Team GBR is here.
Team GBR in the pits then. This has got to be a good stop for Great Britain. One guy per wheel. Has to remove one wheel, put the new one on. Another crew member's allowed to move the wheels then, once they're off the car. But it's got to be one person per corner. There's a problem on the front, maybe a little bit slow on the front.
Yeah, the right front just didn't seem to go on as cleanly, and the nut maybe didn't disengage from the gun itself. But Darren Manning, there's a fresh set of rubber on. He'll be delighted to have had that little breath. And the safety car is not being deployed. It's certainly moving out towards the exit of the pit. Waved yellow flags, and I think we're going to see the safety car deployed very shortly to ensure we get that Pakistan car removed to safety.
Now that's going to make a big difference, because some people have stopped and some people haven't stopped. If the safety car comes out now, there's what happened to Pakistan.
Yes, simply came in and just locked up the rear brakes as he was turning the wheel. That's inexperience, but things like that happen, and unfortunately now the consequence is not only did it compromise some of the entrance into the pit lane, now Pakistan have got running. Now they might well make a pit stop, and they may decide to say, well, look, let's call it a day.
Noah Ali brings the car in. They're still standing by with the safety car. They haven't actually brought it out, and I'm not sure. It looks as though it is being deployed now. Out on track, safety car, and this now means the pit lane has closed. Once the safety car is on track, you are not allowed to make your pit stop. So all of those who have made their pit stop are now going to be able to bunch up behind the safety car, and it's going to be an advantage to those that have stopped.
Indeed it is. That's going to favour particularly teams like Team GBR, because they were the car that was running in 4th place, while other three top, France, Germany and Mexico, had not made their pit stops. Neither did Matt Halliday for New Zealand. He was told at the point he was about to turn in, no, stay out on track.
So the safety car has picked up the race leader, Team France, but France is not allowed to come into the pits while we've got a safety car on circuit, and that means that those guys who have already made a pit stop are in an excellent position, because the Crocodile will all close up together, and you may be several cars behind the leader in that queue, but in terms of time, of course, you're very, very close behind him. So those lead cars, France, Germany and Mexico, could be in trouble here, up against the likes of Great Britain, the Netherlands and Brazil, those cars that have made their stops already. This is going to be fascinating once everything sorts itself out, and there'll be a few teams upset, but that's the way it goes.
Indeed it is, and you can imagine the teams that are going to be upset are going to be France, Germany, Mexico and New Zealand. The teams that are probably going to be rubbing their hands are in particular Team GBR, because that was the first of the front-running teams to make that pit stop before safety car deployment. But until all this washes out, the safety car is returned to the pit lane, and those teams that have been caught short by the introduction of the safety car, they then make their own pit stops. But what it's going to do is going to make a very exciting conclusion to this 45-lap or 70-minute feature race, because the unpredictability that deploying a safety car provides for is something that you can never factor into your calculations. You can only say it may come at some point, but you never know when.
You never know when, and this is really going to be very, very difficult to work out exactly what's going to happen here. Light's still on the safety car, so it's going to be out there for at least one more lap. Team France is the lead car. Sitting in behind, there is another car in there. Pakistan car, of course, as we know, has been lapped. That was the car that had the problem coming into the pits. So Germany, Mexico, New Zealand is the order currently. But of those that have made a pit stop, let's tell you who's first as they all come across the line, and the timing and scoring system updates here. The first of the cars that has made a pit stop that is in that queue is indeed Great Britain. So it could be good news, and it was Great Britain and USA who made that call to come in. Remember, some cars made a call to come in and then changed their minds. They might be regretting it now.
Well, they will be regretting it, but of course they didn't know that the safety car was going to be deployed. They assumed that that car, the Pakistan car, could be quickly removed to safety and into the pit lane. They maybe didn't anticipate that this would be a safety car deployment. Consequently, the decision of New Zealand, as they were on their way, and then a very late minute call to say no, stay out on track, they'll rue that decision. But you know, you can never second guess what's going to happen when a deployment is going to be called.
So Team France won't have an awful lot of time in which to try and open up a lead. I guess the tactic once the safety car comes in is to go hell for leather and open up as much of a lead as possible before you come into the pits for your stop. But you've got to do it by lap 20. So we're only completed 12 laps so far, but that only gives them 8-lap window at the moment in which to try and open up the advantage before they come in and make their pit stop. Of course, Great Britain's quite a long way down in that queue, but nonetheless, it's still going to be a tall order for Team France and the others to open up enough of an advantage once we go green. The safety car lights are out though, so they will be racing when they come back across the line next time. And Team France has the useful buffer, if you like, of the Team Pakistan car between itself and Germany. Germany is actually the second car in this race, even though it's not the second car on the road. Mexico, New Zealand, Canada, lots of people here will use this restart as an opportunity perhaps to attack going into Tarzan corner, and Nicolas Lapierre is taking it ever so slowly up through turn 9 and 10 there, the S's.
Yes, and he's fully entitled to do that, to let the safety car get back safely into the pits. He wants to get to these final two turns and then get on with the programme. But whether France determine there, he's done it, he's already accelerating flat out. And Pakistan has been caught short, and of course none of these cars are allowed to overtake each other until they cross the start-finish line.
This is going to work perfectly for France. That's a clever move, because Pakistan cannot be passed until they get to the line. Everybody else knows that. They know they can't overtake until they get to the line. Finally they can, and now Germany goes past, but look at the lead, and look at all this behind. China going down the inside. China's going to try and take Canada, surely. Oh, they've just about made it. New Zealand's gone around the outside, still side by side with Canada. Nothing to choose between them. Wheel to wheel, New Zealand stays ahead of Canada.
And that was hard play from Matt Halliday. He had Canada right alongside him. He had to do everything he needed to do to keep that position. He did keep it, but smart thinking from Team France, and Nicolas Lapierre did everything he was required to do precisely. He slowed the pack down. He knew he had an advantage with Pakistan being directly behind him, and then when he accelerated, Pakistan was caught without his foot in the throttle, and everybody else, Germany and the others, were unable to do anything other than watch Team France steam away. But Canada and New Zealand coming back again. Canada deciding they don't like losing position to New Zealand, so down the inside into turn 7. That's very difficult to do it into there, but certainly Canada, James Hinchcliffe, first time in A1GP, giving Matt Halliday rain falling. There's that rain falling on the camera lens out of turn 8.
It looks slippery over there, doesn't it? And you could see the cars moving around a bit. Team France really managing to open up a lead here from Germany in second place, New Zealand in third, then Canada and China. China really racing hard here. Frankie Cheng showing every ounce of ability that we've seen. And you're right, look at the umbrellas going up.
Yes, the rain is coming around. On some, I think this is up around about turns 9, 10, 11 and 12. That's the backside of the circuit and the corner leading onto the straight. We haven't seen the umbrellas yet go up on pit straight, so it must be around the final 4 turns on this racetrack.
And this could again completely change the prospects for this race. Another bomb coming into the pits, because if they have to come in and change onto wet tyres, then it favours those that haven't stopped. Indonesia diving down the inside of Australia, and that was for position, that was for 5th place. And Anna Mikkola putting a move on Ryan Briscoe. Indonesia gains the position from Australia. Australia.
So all the aces are being played here today. As we see Team Canada, that they were battling with New Zealand for that position. They chose to come in and make the pit stop. And James Hinchcliffe, who was all over the back of Canada, and those look very fresh set of tyres to me.
Brand new tyres, and they've obviously taken the gamble that it's not going to get any wetter. Surely you'd want to wait a little bit. The pit lane window stays open for another 6 laps. Surely you'd want to stay out there at the moment and see what the weather's going to do and leave it to the last possible moment. It's up at the top end of the track, as you say. We can see dark clouds out of the side of our commentary box, but then it's much clearer down towards the Tarzan
corner.
corner.
We're getting raindrops hitting the side of our commentary position, which is just overlooking pit straight. We're not seeing umbrellas being raised yet on the grandstands directly in front of us, but clearly around this part of the track and further on towards 11 and 12, that's where those rain spots look to be at their heaviest.
So what's going on? France still lead. We've got some side-by-side battling here, and Great Britain, that is, with Team Italy trying to get past, that is to get further up inside the top 10, but Great Britain is still the first of the cars that has made a pit stop. It's still the lead car that has stopped, although it's down in 9th position.
And as every corner goes by, Darren Manning and Team GBR is losing ground to the field. He needs to get clear of Italy as quickly as possible. He needs to make the maximum use of those tyres, those fresh tyres that he had fitted some laps ago. So Team GBR, he's 6th.
He's got to watch out though, because Netherlands and Brazil behind him have both made pit stops as well. So these guys are the ones who made their pit stops early and are in great shape here. But they've still got to get on with it, because it does depend how much France can open up that gap, as you say. Let's just take a look. This was Great Britain trying to get past Italy a moment ago.
And the door firmly shut, almost wheel to wheel, but Italy not conceding position. They're not entitled to do so, as Darren Manning gets alongside. So wet tyres going on to Team Ireland. Now the rain is beginning to fall more heavily as we look down into the front part of the circuit. Umbrellas have gradually, now they're going up.
A problem though, John, with that left rear.
It's not coming up. Well, I think that might be some relief for Michael Devaney. It's been a terrible weekend for Ireland. The work that they put into this team is outstanding, and a little problem on that left rear, cannot get the rear tyre off to put a wet tyre on.
France still leads, and their last lap was a 1:32.7, so they've only lost about 2 seconds on pace. There's the Czech car getting out of their way. Nicolas Lapierre sliding there. You can see the lack of grip, but their lap times have not gone. Oh, and it's very wet up on that section.
It is down around turns 9 and 10. Now you say France has lost 2 seconds, but everybody else is losing 3 and 4. That was Basil Chaban for Lebanon, and he slid wide, so Basil gets back on track. We're not seeing enough rain on the circuit to cause spray, and still a problem on that left rear. Finally they get the nut released. The wet weather tyre will go on. Now the rain is falling here on the pit lane. It's almost a mirror of what it was doing some 2 hours ago, and when that rain came through, it was very brief but very heavy, saturated the track, and it will only be a matter of moments before the racetrack as Matt Halliday makes his way into the pit lane. And is Matt Halliday going to fit a set of wet weather tyres? They must have little choice, because with the rain falling now, it is not going to ease up for the next 10 minutes or so, and it will be a wet track.
Wet tyres being made ready. It will be wet. The leader's lap time last time around 1:39, so they're now some 9 seconds off the pace. You've got to go for wet, and this is going to help France. Would you believe it? This is surely going to help France if they get a clean stop, because although they haven't stopped, they'll be able to go straight onto wet.
And there's a problem with the left rear from New Zealand as well. They cannot get that wheel tyre removed. We saw this with Ireland, the same thing, because only one person allowed to work on that corner at a time. Nobody else can come in and touch it. Let me see. Australia back out. Ryan Briscoe currently running down in 14th place.
Yes, but at least he's had a clean stop, and we're watching quite a few have dramas. Oh, look at Great Britain slithering around on his slick tyres. That's Darren Manning. You know, they made an early pit stop, but of course at that time there was no danger of it raining.
Well, I think the Team GBR is going to throw the dice and gamble that this rainstorm might clear through more quickly than other people would anticipate, and stay out. If he can stay out and avoid that a second pit stop for a tyre change, this time to wet tyres, as long as he doesn't lose position. He's got the Netherlands lined up behind. He's got past Italy, finally Brazil, USA and India. They round out the top 10. Ahead of him, Indonesia, Germany and France have yet to come in.
And France stays out again, so they are also gambling. They're going to go to the last moment before they make their pit stop. Good tactics by Team France. They are going to wait until virtually lap 20, I would think, before they come into the pits. But Great Britain's got pressure on from local man Jeroen Bleekemolen for the Netherlands. The Netherlands going to the outside, down towards Tarzan corner. You can overtake on the outside here, and Bleekemolen's going to try and drive round the outside of Great Britain, and he's done it.
was superb, absolutely fantastic from Jerome Bleekemolen. Now that's local knowledge, that's what it means in the Tarzan hairpin. It is a bank corner, and as long as you can get sufficiently alongside the car you're trying to pass, you can keep station, and as long as you're just a nose ahead on the exit, then the other driver, in this case Darren Manning for Team GBR, has had to concede position. Rain on the lenses as they come up through turns 4. Let's look again at Bleekemolen goes to the outside. This is the long way around. Darren Manning did everything he had to do to defend the corner, but look at the speed Bleekemolen carried because he could run the car higher in the turn, and then off the corner he just gets that advantage. Here's the onboard look.
Great move this by Bleekemolen. It is local knowledge here because you can use a little bit of banking. It is a slightly banked corner and he's used it absolutely to perfection, positioned the car just right. He is now the lead car that has stopped, and that could be crucial, but remember the weather conditions are changing things as well. When is France going to stop? Well, it could be this time around, but they've got another lap or two in which they could do it.
Well, France is going to stay out until the last possible moment. If they've got to go on to wets, well, they're going to gamble that this rain may clear away in the hope that they can stay at the last possible moment on a set of dry tyres. But the track, you can see there how much now that you're seeing the lines of the tyres on that tarmac. It is now getting to the point where it is quite difficult to keep the car straight and narrow, and especially as they come off turn 12. That is a difficult corner in the dry, but to try and take it in the wet on a set of dry weather slick tyres is pushing the skill of the drivers just to the very edge.
It is really raining hard opposite our commentary position now. It's coming down very, very heavily, and it's going to get nasty out there if you're on
slicks. Look, everybody has decided. Right, Darren Manning amongst them. Second stop for Team GBR. This will be a stop for wet tyres.
Great Britain in for the second
it's Indonesia and Lebanon. They almost collide. Indonesia decided it wanted the bit of ground that Lebanon had stopped on. That was Lebanon's garage. Indonesia, yours was one further down.
Wheels off all right on the British car, so Manning going for wet tyres. We're still waiting for France to make their stop. Mexico coming back in. Canada's in.
Oh, he's been blocked in. Canada's come in, and Canada, these are sister operations, and Canada's come in, stopped on the angle, and that of course prevented Darren getting a clean run out. He had to be seconds long. Stop.
You can see the rain starting to come down there at Zandvoort in Holland, and it has caused problems with the satellite situation to us in the studio here. Just as soon as we restore the balance there and the weather clears up, we'll head back to Zandvoort and to Holland. In the meantime, while we're waiting for that to happen, let's get the thoughts of Tony and Andy in the studio. What's your reaction to what you've seen so far, Tony?
Frustration, excitement, the mixture of things that are going on, never mind the mixture of the weather is causing so many dramas. We've just watched the last bit of frustration for Darren Manning, because we thought after the safety car had come in, after that incident with the Pakistan car blocking the pit lane entry, thought he had a real chance. But then we saw safety car going in, and Pakistan was holding up the rest of the field just through to inexperience, obviously. They came through and France escaped again, and France has got the benefit of staying out now with the weather conditions. But again, there's excitement right the way through the field. The changing conditions have thrown another dice. The weather gods have decided that it's going against GBR, and then we're just watching Canada park straight across the nose of poor Darren Manning. Your mate is getting it. He's getting at the thick end of it.
Andy, you're beside yourself in the studio, and it's understandable. I mean, what have you made of Darren's performance out there? He's really been up against it, hasn't he, several times?
I mean, he made a good overtaking move at the beginning of the race. He got up into third position. He was looking really strong, made an early pit. Then the safety car came out, which was great. I thought this is in the bag, and unfortunately he got caught up behind a few back markers. Team Pakistan were really slow on the restart, which lost loads and loads of time for Darren, and then of course now he's been caught out with changeable weather. You can't judge that. That's just bad luck.
I tell you what, while we're waiting for the weather to clear up in Holland and for that satellite feed to be restored, we're just going to take you through the beginning of the feature race, and we're going to start right at the start with this. Adrian Zaug, who started on pole, having won the sprint race, and situations going his way, but not in the feature race, Andy.
No, he bogged down there. It's very difficult. You've got Darren coming up on the outside here, around the outside of Mexico, but got it onto the dirty part of the track and lost a bit of time, and then good old France slipped through on the inside. So it could have been great. Mexico leading, and Darren now back, and you see Zaug going off there. He's caught, I think he's damaged the front wing on the way into that corner and just lost all his front grip.
So that isn't about inexperience?
Not really, no. I mean, the inexperience is getting the car off the start. He just couldn't get it, but they are difficult to make starts with these cars. The clutch Dutch is like a switch. It's either in or it's out, and he bogged down. But once you're in the middle of the grid, it's very difficult, and sometimes you're caught up in somebody else's accident.
France, the resounding champions last season in A1GP, and they look like they could be strong contenders once more. Let's just take a look at this particular incident, which Tony saw a mistake from Mexico allowing Lapierre through.
Yeah, this was very unfortunate because Salvador Duran, that's the second mistake that he's made going into Tarzan. He did that in the sprint race earlier on, but he just opened the door wide open, handed it to him on a silver platter, and through France went. And we knew that once he'd got into clear air and he could get away, he would do. Lapierre, 6 times winner in A1GP last year. We're talking about a GP2 driver of immense experience. Who's going to switch actually and run for DAMS next season. But at the moment, it's looking very, very good for France.
Dangerous position, isn't it, to allow Lapierre through?
It's dangerous. He's a proven race winner in A1GP, so he's pretty special. Look at the conditions here now, Georgia. I mean, this is really wet, and see, France have got wet tyres on. They benefited from that late stop, and I think they're going to pull away with this. But one thing, where are Germany right now?
Okay, well, as things stand at the moment, the USA currently in the lead. You're watching pictures of Team France and Nicolas Lapierre travelling around the circuit, and you can see there is heavy rain on the track at the moment. We're going to head you back to our commentary team of John Watson and Ben Edwards to guide you through the rest of the feature.
So where their car setups are in relation to running on the wet tyres on a track that is not just wet, it's a very slick racetrack. There's not a lot of grip coming from the racetrack, and for the first time this weekend, it's a brand new adventure.
It is, but what heroics from Phil Giebler from Team USA. It stopped raining. Is it going to work for him? Let's see. Now that was China.
Yes, and Malaysia back out on track. They got repair to that car, and it was China went off track up in the tires, and that's just turning in and the back end stepping out and having to correct. And the gravel trap there beckoned, and we saw Lebanon follow him up. Now that wasn't in sympathy. That was just probably Basil Chapin got caught out by the extra moisture. In fact, what you'd call it almost monsoon rain down at Tarzan.
Now then, Team USA is still struggling round on these slick tyres. They were only 15 seconds, 15 seconds ahead of France last time around, and Lapierre will be taking huge chunks out of his lead.
Yeah, we've got to see the lap time when France come across start-finish line to see 1:57.6. Now it's getting better by the lap for Team USA, but the gap between France and the USA, New Zealand go off track as well, it's now down to 8.4 seconds. The 7-second difference between wets and dries is a lot less than I would have anticipated. So the wet weather tyre benefit over the slick that the USA are running is not as significant as we might have expected.
This was the moment that Matt Halliday ran a bit wild. He got the back end out first and then shot himself right off track, but managed to keep it going. Bit of luck and a bit of judgment, and he's still in there. New Zealand were 16th though last time around, so he's lost a lot of time. There is the United States car. Phil Giebler, the hero of the hour. Great Britain, Darren Manning going dirt tracking through the gravel. Can he get it going? Keep it going, keep it going. Yes, he's back on track. That was from 6th position. He rejoins, but that's Malaysia who's a couple of laps down.
But what's disappointing is that the difference in lap time between wets and dries is a lot less than we anticipated. And for the Team USA to be courageous enough to stay out, for Phil Giebler to have the skill to stay out, doing 1:57 against the single fastest lap so far on wets, which is a 1:49.6. 9 seconds difference between the two cars, but that is not very much. And of course there we see Darren Manning locked it up going into the Tarzan hairpin, fighting to keep the car in some semblance of straight line into the gravel. Darren Manning's fastest lap on wet tyres was only a 1:52. That's 2 seconds slower than France and Germany similarly equipped have been doing.
So USA leads. There is the gap. You can see it now between USA and France. USA still on slick tyres. France attacking on wet tyres. Germany there running in 3rd place. Then the Netherlands in 4th position, also on wet tyres.
And it looks to me like the rain has stopped. The umbrellas are certainly down. We're now contending with a track that will start to become a drying track. Car off in turn 11. We saw a car stuck against the barrier, obviously spun on the exit of 11 and slapped the barrier on the inside. It is Pakistan.
So Nur Ali's been having a bit of an adventurous time here on his A1 debut, but I think that could be the end of the day for the American-based Pakistani, and it's still USA leading, but just by 2.2 seconds as they crossed the line last time. A 1:56 from USA, 6 seconds slower on the lap than France. France using the wet tyres to their best effect.
But the key is going to come at what point does the transition occur. For the wet tyre to have no more than an advantage of 6 seconds is Well, it means that when the track gets a drying line, then the advantage is going to go back to Team USA. What a courageous decision. I said it once, I'm going to say it a second time. Phil Giebler has done a magnificent job. When others have been on wets and gone off, he's on slicks and so far has stayed on line.
Now, he doesn't need to fight France off too much, because if France get ahead, all well and good, they will still probably have to change onto slick tyres, whereas Phil Giebler for Team USA is already on his slick tyres. He doesn't have to change again if the track continues to dry out.
But look forward there, the sky, and that's looking eastward, looks very, very black indeed. But in the meantime, that's what we've got pretty much now with the rest of the circuit. Nice blue sky.
Oh, this is fantastic. What a confrontation here. Team USA versus Team France for the lead in the feature race. Just about half distance now. And Giebler...
And he's made a mistake when he let him go through, or he ran wide, or the combination of two. Anyway, the fact is the pressure is off Phil Giebler. All he's got to do is still what he's done so successfully, is keep this car on track. He's now got young Nico Hülkenberg from Germany behind him. He may be a little bit more impatient than we... There's again another, is that Lebanon or Canada?
Canada, yeah.
Down in the tyres, and these cars are all on wet weather tyres. Yet the lead car up until a few moments ago had stayed on slicks and had stayed on track.
So USA has lost the lead to Team France and now will lose second place to Germany. It's likely to lose third to the Netherlands as well, and the Dutch fans are going to go crazy when they can see a potential podium. And there is the orange car getting closer, but remember, if this track continues to dry, then Team USA... Oh, and there's a battle for the lead between France and Germany as well. Germany has caught right up to France, both on wet tyres. Look at the two leaders. Germany's going really well and putting Nicolas Lapierre under pressure.
First four cars covered by just about a second, and Germany, Nico Hülkenberg, who again starred in qualifying, but we watched Jerome Bleekemolen go past Phil Giebler for Team USA. Now the track difference, last lap for France was a 152, for Germany a 150, but more representatively 156 for Team USA, and the track lap by lap, corner by corner, will start to dry. India's off down at the 1,000. There was that contact. We saw a red car just go through the corner. Maybe the two cars got together.
So India may well be able to rejoin here. Great Britain currently running in ninth place. Let's just quickly run through the top 10. It's France, then Germany, the Netherlands, USA now down to 4th, Italy 5th, Switzerland in 6th place, Australia 7th, Mexico 8th, Great Britain 9th, India was 10th, then China, Indonesia, Singapore up to 13th place, Canada down to 14th, New Zealand 15th, Brazil 16th, then Greece, Ireland and Malaysia. That's how the runners are still running. And up front, it's France versus Germany versus the Netherlands. Countries all neighbouring each other here in Europe, and it's close as you like, on track, all on wet tyres. And in the background, still Phil Giebler doing a heroic job on his slick tyres for Team USA. And if it continues to dry, this race could still come back to him.
Quickest car on racetrack right now, in fact, is the orange car of the Netherlands. The hero here, look, Kolos is up to the back of Germany. Germany moved from left to right to block. Only allowed to make one blocking attempt in a overtaking. Again, going around the outside. Look at the speedy carriage around the outside. France struggling for grip, but Jerome can't quite get it done. I think, in fact, the reason that overtake didn't take place was because France was going so slowly on the exit of Tarzan that it ran, Hülkenberg ran into the back almost of France, and that sort of lost the momentum of the Netherlands.
Bleekemolen is trying every of the clever wet lines. There is a definite wet line here at Zandvoort, and if you get in the right groove, you can gain a lot of traction, and you can see the reaction. Look, this was when he went side by side into Tarzan. Look at the reaction he got from the crowd. Brilliant to see, but he's still in third place at the moment, and he's going to have to try a little bit harder, but it was a good opportunity.
Yes, but he's got to remember not to try and do too much too quickly, be patient. He's got parts of the track where he's got strengths, and that particularly is coming onto the straight and also at the end of the straight round the Tarzan hairpin. He knows this circuit better than any other competitor out here this afternoon, and he's just got to get himself in position not to be too anxious, not to be too greedy almost, because Hülkenberg's trying to get all over the back and over the front, in fact, of France, and let Bleekemolen just sit there, watch that action go on ahead of him. He's got a car currently that's quicker than the two in front of him. He's just got to be patient.
He has to be patient. Still 21 laps to go then. All of the pit stops have been made, unless they have to make pit stops again to change tyres. And for the Dutch team, Jan Lammers there, what a performance this is. Up to third place for their team on home soil, and with every opportunity still right with the other two. Team Germany there second. We were riding on board with Hülkenberg. It's France, Germany Germany, the Netherlands, nothing to choose between them, and plenty of time left. Now, across the line they go this time.
Again, another block from Hulkenberg as they come down. Again, Bleekemolen goes to the outside this time. Well, I think
he's trying it, he's trying to go round.
But again, France is there, and it sort of seems to almost act as a buffer.
He's
but
done
side by side.
He's done it, surely this time. He's done it. He's into second place, and Zandvoort goes crazy. The Netherlands second, France sliding, but look at the smooth line. Jeroen Bleekemolen, look at the wide line he chooses, looking for the grip. That's where track experience counts. Now, can he do it to Team France as well?
I think he's got the speed, because France, I think, is struggling with grip overall. They cannot run at the sort of the normal pace we'd expect from France. In fact, Germany and Holland are capable of running quicker than France. They just haven't been able so far to have a go. Now let's watch and see what Jeroen Bleekemolen. Let's again look and see what he does. He goes very high up into the corner. There is grip up there on these wet, slick conditions, and then drops down.
Yeah, that was a good move there, wasn't it? Round the outside, but they're all sliding around. That was the reaction in the Dutch camp, but he did it. Yeah, says Jan Lammers.
Well, Jan Lammers told us to expect something special from his rookie driver here today, this afternoon. We didn't expect the rain to fall.
Side by side with France. No, I thought he was for a moment, nearly nosed alongside.
He's got to be patient. There are 20 laps to go, and we've got 25 minutes of this race remaining. And I don't know which is going to come the sooner. I suspect the 70 minutes is now going to come sooner than the 25 remaining 20 laps to go. And looking to find a way, very, very slippery indeed, round 9 and 10.
Look at the reaction from the fans. He's being urged on, cheered on here. Team France's car twitching around in the wet. Remember, these cars were all set up for dry conditions. They weren't set up for the wet. They might have wet
look
tyres.
at France, the slide. You could see almost sideways in the track. Literally, there must be zero grip. Now, no problem, I think, whatsoever for Bleekemolen to just come out of turn 12, get alongside, and put himself certainly into position to provide a mirror of what he did with Germany.
Team Netherlands trying to take the lead from Team France. The title holders in A1. He's done it. He's gone past.
And watch Germany.
Whole of Zandvoort has gone crazy. Team Netherlands in front.
And watch Germany. They're going to try and sneak through. Not close enough to do so.
What a move by Jeroen Bleekemolen. He's taken the lead here with still 19 laps to go in the feature race, but the Dutch car is in front on Dutch soil. The youngster Jeroen Bleekemolen, who didn't think he would be racing here this weekend, he got the late call. This is how he did it.
Yeah, he did it because France are struggling for rear end grip. Holland have got a much better balanced car. They can carry the speed through turns 11 and 12 and effect come onto the straight more quickly, get alongside. We have seen Bleekemolen do this pass innumerable times, goes high up, gets the grip at the top of the circuit, and then drops down with more speed and accelerates past going up into turns 2 and 3.
He made it look easy, didn't he? Jeroen Bleekemolen, now he's got the pressure on though. He's got a long way to go in this race. What about Team USA, John? How far back is our man on slick tyres? 17 seconds or so?
Well, it is 17 seconds. The trouble is the track hasn't shown any indication to be drying out, but Germany now putting France under great pressure. Nico Hulkenberg, we've seen him drive in qualifying, stunning in qualifying, gets alongside as they come down the hill into turns 9 and 10.
Germany's done it into second place, and France is pushed back to third. Maybe it is a new order in A1GP in the first event of the new season. France, great in the dry, but they're definitely struggling in these damp conditions.
And I don't know why we've seen France's car, whether wet or dry in the first series, looking stunning, but clearly when the rain came and they went under wet weather tyres, they were not the class of the field. Nicolas Lapierre has been having to hang on by the scruff of his neck to keep that car on racetrack.
Look at them moving onto the wet line, trying to cool those wet tyres. There's still 18 laps to go. They've got to look after the wet tyres. And as the lap times reduce, the sun is coming out. You know, there's still a chance here for Team USA if the slick tyres start to come into effect. But he, at the moment, is still tending to drop back a bit.
But I think we need to look more at the clock than laps to go, because we've got 22 minutes, 5 seconds remaining with 18 laps. And in my book, that looks to me like it'll be a time finish rather than a lap finish. But there you see the drying line as they come through turn 4 and climb the hill up into turn 5. Bleekemolen is on a set of wet weather tyres, as is everybody here. These Cooper tyres, they're not the super sticky, soft wet weather tyres we see elsewhere. These tyres are designed to enable a driver in these drying track conditions to stay out if it is necessary, rather than end up with a tyre that falls to bits the moment it sees a dry part of racetrack.
So Bleekemolen now with a clear track ahead of him, and he's pulled away quite a bit from Germany and France over the last lap or so, but don't discount Germany. Nico Hülkenberg's been looking very good, has raced here at Zandvoort in the past, a youngster, but it could be an opportunity. A quick glance in the mirror for Bleekemolen. Where's the opposition? They're not that close as yet, but still plenty of time.
But interestingly, the second quickest car out on track is not Germany or France, it is actually Italy. Italy up to 4th place. Where have they come from? We haven't seen much of Italy all weekend. We've been saying, well, maybe Italy has been taking drivers that are paying for the opportunity rather than taking talent and then generating sponsorship as a consequence. And they're running in 4th, and they're running 2nd quickest per lap to the Netherlands.
Yeah, Italy up to 4th position, and that is a surprise. Alessandro Pierguidi driving superbly well. Brazil, you're looking at there briefly, they're running 16th, Ireland down in 17th. I'm afraid neither of those two nations are having a particularly successful time here at Zandvoort, but what a topsy-turvy race it has been in terms of conditions. The top 10 at the moment: Netherlands, Germany, France, Italy, Switzerland, one of the ones to watch as well, because Switzerland actually got the fastest lap before it started raining, and Switzerland has been showing great pace. They're 5th. USA is now down to 6th with their slick shod car. Australia 7th, Mexico 8th. You're watching a battle here at the moment between Singapore and India, and that is for position, that's for 13th.
But should this track suddenly dry out, the USA is presently 27.5 seconds behind the Netherlands, the race leader. I don't think it's possible to come in, make that tyre change back to slicks and go back out again and still retain the lead. I think any of the 5 cars ahead of the United States, if or when they need to make that pit stop to come in and put on slick tyres, will find themselves running once again behind the USA, and Phil Giebler and the USA, who may well have thrown the dice in the biggest possible way, could end up the winners here this afternoon of the feature race.
We're watching the timing screens to see when the USA starts to lap more quickly than all the cars on wet tyres. Singapore using the wet sensibly. That's Christian Murchison, who's driving well here this weekend, but I think India has done the move on him there. Has got past around the outside, so India moves up to 13th position, 14th place for Singapore. Christian Murchison, his first single-seater race, I think in about 2 years, he also got a late call. There he is in the new Team Singapore car. Beautifully presented it is as well, and Murchison has been pretty heroic himself this weekend, getting such a late call, but has just lost that 13th position to Team India.
Well, just under 20 minutes remaining, and this is going to get very tense indeed, because those that are on the wet weather tyre are now having to contend with a drying line, and particularly through the very fast parts of the racetrack where it is just a single line. Other parts of the track, the slower parts like the Hogenholzhafen and Tarzan for that matter, haven't yet shown the signs of showing a drying line, but the time difference in lap time between the USA and the quicker of the cars on the wet weather tyres is hovering around 3.5-4 seconds a lap, favouring the wet weather tyre, but it's going to be very close. It's going to be a time race in my view. 16 laps to go and coming up to 18.5 minutes time remaining.
Team USA need that track to dry out a little quicker than it is. Of course, when we get to autumn type weather, the temperature's not as high as in midsummer. If we'd been midsummer, the track would be drying out very quickly. We'd be seeing steam coming off the surface, but that's not happening. It's not a cold day here at Zandvoort, but we certainly haven't got those higher summer temperatures that are going to dry the track out very quickly, and it may be that USA will simply run out of time. They're currently 6th. Top 5: Netherlands, Germany, France, Italy and Switzerland. On board here with Team Ireland. They're still involved in this other little race that's going on with Brazil and New Zealand, all on wet tyres down on that section, and lapping fairly quickly. Canada's into the pits though. Must be a problem there for Team Canada.
It is not a problem. The problem is that they've decided, they've seen the wisdom of what America is doing, and they've decided, well, let's again gamble, bring him in, and that is well, it's a good decision from John Village, who runs this team for Team Canada, and get him out. The track is drying, and I've seen races won here in Zandvoort in identical conditions to these by coming in early, anticipating the speed of track dry, and that could well be the decision that Canada have taken, and it may well be the judgment that America have gambled, and that was a big gamble to take so early, because we never knew how long this rainstorm was going to last or how ferocious it would be.
And it started a flurry of pit stops now. We're going to see a number of pit stops by the looks of things as people do decide to go to slicks. That's because USA...
France is back in.
Wow, France in. Well, that's very interesting. Yeah, I guess that is a very sensible manoeuvre from their point of view. They were running third, of course. The car wasn't really working terribly well on wet. It was skittering around a lot compared to some of the others. France making the early stop.
And France, of course, have been the masters of pit stops in the previous series. So a good stop for France, get the airline out of the way. Nicolas Lapierre and drops the clutch, the car goes sideways on a very slippery pit lane. Of course, the pit lane probably one of the fewer parts of the racetrack that is going to get used. So he pulls out of the track as others come in. Again, teams deciding this is the point at which to go in.
I think he crossed that white line before it went dotted, but we'll have to check that later. Team GBR into the pits as well from 9th place for Great Britain, going on to slicks. Team USA is now lapping as fast as anybody. In fact, last time around, not quite the fastest lap of all. That was still the Netherlands, but who lead, remember, the Netherlands lead. Tyre change going okay, yep, and Manning is away.
But the key is that USA in 6th place is 28.7 seconds. They're holding station with the lead Netherlands car, and it's going to take more than 28 seconds to come into the pit lane, down to the speed limit, stop, then your team have got to come out and do that tyre change, and then go down the pit lane. And look at the field of cars coming in now, for Ireland amongst them, New Zealand and in Brazil.
Now this is an important pit stop. These three have been tied together, and look, they've stopped very close.
And Ireland can't get in properly because they've got a car between two cars, and France is off.
That's France on its slick tyres, and he's run out of road. He's kept it going. He's kept out of the gravel completely, but he's been passed by China there.
And that was down at turn 7. That's one of those long approaches. He comes down into the corner, and there was just, it was simply just too much power. Of course, these tyres, they may well have been in tyre blankets, but I suspect they have not been heated up to normal race temperature. Germany in from 2nd place.
So will the Netherlands decide to come into the pits? Are they going to risk staying out on their wet tyres? They've got 15 minutes of racing still to do, and Germany goes for the change and puts onto slick tyres. Netherlands lead this race. Are they leaving it too late to come onto slicks? Are they going to go for the gamble?
Well, the USA is now lapping quicker on dry slick tyres than Netherlands is lapping on full wet tyres. The gap is still 28 seconds, but if that's the case, a single or a couple of seconds a lap when the time available is a very, very close call, and I don't think it's possible. But the track will get drier by the lap, and therefore the distance in terms of lap speed between front and fourth, where the USA is going to work in favour of USA. But that India car stopped, and the exit of 7 is not going to help things.
So I've just seen, I think it was
hold on, France coming in.
Yeah. I saw it. I saw a blue and white car come past. I thought, hang on, what's going on here?
And he's got his hand, I don't know what he's doing, he's got his hands out of the cockpit. Something went wrong, whether it was during that pit stop or whether something has occurred subsequent to the pit stop. He's driving straight into the garage, all over for France.
Team France is not going to start their campaign by winning here at Zandvoort. The reigning title holders are not going to score in the feature race. They scored in the sprint race, but it's all over for Team France in the feature. And that's going to make a big difference in their title defence. It's the Netherlands that leads, currently still out on their wet tyres, lapping at about the same pace as Team USA on the slicks. We're at the exact crossover mark, and how will these wet tyres stand up to these drying conditions? There you see your race leader, Team Netherlands.
Well, if he can keep the pace that USA is doing, the track, remember, is partially dry. It's dry in these very fast sections, in the slow sections around the back of the circuit where the sun is not able. It's a much lower sun on the horizon at this time of year than it would be midsummer, so they're not getting the benefit of the sun falling on those parts of the racetrack. The grandstands and the dunes and the topography of this area precludes it. So there you see, comes out of turn 5, brakes into turn 6. From here on, the track is still quite slippery.
It is going to be very tricky. Italy, by the way, as a result of all this, are now up to 2nd. They also have not come into the pits. So Italy are in 2nd place. Remember, they were out of luck in the sprint race here. They were a spinner. They got a contact into the first corner in the sprint race. Mexico back in. Oh, and he stalled it as well. It's all gone wrong. Has it? No, he hasn't stalled it. I don't know if he stalled it there or he just stopped and waited for the signal. Team Mexico back out on slick tyres, but they've left it a bit later than the others to make that change. You're looking now at Team Italy. Italy running in 2nd position, but on wet tyres that are very much past their best. How long can they hold out on their tyres that are working so hard in this drying line? Look at that line. Look how distinct it is. And there, behind him is Team USA. Now, USA, if he gets past Italy, USA will move up into 2nd position. It's coming back to Philip Giebler.
The gap between USA and the Netherlands down to 25 seconds. The gap between Italy and the USA, well, there you see it. And you have to say, with the experience that Giebler has had on these tyres, he can't take a chance and go down the inside. He's got to be patient. Again, we've said that so often of so many drivers here this afternoon. Phil Giebler has done an amazing job to keep his car on track when it was saturated, but he just simply drives around the outside of Italy. And Giebler, he's decided to go into the team Italy, I beg your pardon, going into the pits. for a tyre change.
So Italy left it late, and that will hurt them badly now, but it's Team USA on a charge. The gap first to second, 22 seconds, and the Netherlands still continues to lead. But now, USA some 3 seconds a lap quicker than the Netherlands on the last lap.
Well, if we go the 12-lap distance, that's 36 seconds potentially, and in my opinion, it'll be more as the track dries out. But this is going to be a race of time. We've got 11 and a half minutes of this race remaining, and that's going to work against the USA.
And the fastest man on track at the moment, in fact, is Nico Hülkenberg for Team Germany. A 1:35, a brilliant lap by the young German on the last lap. He is on slick tyres, remember.
The USA, of course, they were held up behind Italy on that last lap, so that 39.8 both hurt the USA, and that accounts for why his lap time was quite a lot slower than the similarly tired Germany.
Yes, and Germany's got little to lose. They've got to go for it, whereas USA knows he's got a lot to protect here in such a strong potential position. Team Netherlands is the race leader with nearly 11 minutes to go, or 12 laps. It's going to be the 11 minutes that will be the decisive factor, and will the wet tyres, those Cooper wet tyres on the A1GP car of Team Netherlands, will they last the distance? That's the question. That's what these guys are all hoping for. They're urging that car on.
Looking for every vestige of moisture. Jerome Blekenmuller, here he comes down. He's got no choice now to take the racing line, but he went from left sharp across the track to pick up the moisture close to the barrier on that main straight.
He's going to be struggling now for the remaining 10 minutes. Those tyres are going to be working so hard. He's coming up to lap the Singapore car here, and of course cars that are maybe on slick tyres where he's coming up to lap them, that may make life pretty difficult for him. Onto the wet stuff to try and cool the tyre. This was a moment ago when Indonesia, I think it is, had a little bit of a trip across the grass, still on wet tyres, I notice.
Been a very adventurous weekend for Amanda Nicola, so he gets back on track. In the meantime, the gap between first and second down to 16 seconds. Germany in third, a further 8 seconds behind the USA, and lapping currently about 1.5 to 2 seconds a lap quicker.
Top 10, Netherlands, USA, Germany, Italy have dropped down now. Switzerland up to 4th place. China in 5th place. Great effort for Team China. Australia 6th. Mexico 7th. Indonesia dropped back a little bit. That means that Great Britain should be up to 8th. It depends if they got past Indonesia when Indonesia went off there. So Great Britain moving up the points a little bit behind them. Singapore, India, Canada and Greece.
And a little battle going on further down the field, with Brazil making its way past Singapore as the race leader comes out very cautiously, not trying to put unnecessary load into those tyres. And New Zealand gets past Singapore as well as we go on board. And this is, I think it is Italy as they make their way back out on track on slick tyres.
So it's all happening in these closing moments of this race. There are 9 minutes to go, and it will be done on time rather than on distance. And coming out there is Team USA, about to cross the line and still closing on the race leader. And Simon has
7.6 seconds.
Simon has news from the pits.
Yeah, Team Netherlands are anxiously looking at the monitors. They're looking at the lap times now, and they're taking a gamble on leaving Jeroen Blekemolen out on wet weather tyres, and to him to use his car control and circuit knowledge to hang on and win for Team Netherlands at home.
Well, let's see if he does, Simon, because the gap between the Netherlands and USA is down to 7.4 seconds. And you know, USA was 9 seconds faster last time around. USA will catch him on this lap if they're not careful.
And Ireland just steamed past the Netherlands as they came out of the Hoogenholz hairpin bend up the hill. Even Ireland had to go offline onto the damp part of the circuit to get past the Netherlands, and they were able to do it and pull away. So now this is into a deteriorating situation. Jeroen Blekemolen, who did such a great job on these wet weather tyres for the bulk of the race. There behind is the USA. Phil Giebler, the man who braved it out to stay on slick tyres when all around him died into the pits for wet, is looking now at a possible victory.
But look at Germany. Germany is in the background and catching USA as well. This is a stunning drive by Nico Hülkenberg.
3 seconds a lap faster on the last lap. Nico Hülkenberg, another of these teenage wonders that's come into A1GP this season, and lapping in Team Germany 3 seconds quicker. There's the gap. Phil Giebler looking forward to trying to take the lead in this race, but this race victory may ultimately go to this young man, Nico Hülkenberg from Germany.
They called it well when they put slick tyres on. Have they timed it to perfection? The Netherlands are going to take the gamble and stay out there. 7 minutes remain in this race. That means about 4 and a bit more laps to go. About 4 more laps, I should think. And can he hold on? I don't think he will hold on for 4 laps. The difference in speed is massive.
And at poor Jan Lammer's face. He sees his team that's been leading this race for so long. The lead has just been gobbled up in the space of the last 3 laps. Team USA trying to go around the outside in the
He's got to do it quickly because Germany's catching him.
Indeed he is. But Michael Devaney was able to do that comfortably coming around here. And Bleekemolen not about to give up the lead but forced to concede. But watch Germany behind. Hulkenberg going to dive down on the inside. Can he do it into 5? Wisely he chooses not.
So USA leads. Germany now in second place, and the Netherlands, struggling round on their wet tyres, are demoted to third. How far will they get in this race now? Because they're just waiting for the time to tick by. But Germany is the car to watch. This has been an outstanding drive by the youngster, 19-year-old Nico Hulkenberg, who is now applying the pressure to Giebler. But Giebler's exploits in the middle part of this race, when he stayed on slick tyres in treacherous conditions, I still think one of the best bits of driving we've seen in A1. But here comes Germany, and they're really hunting around for that lead.
And that was close going into turn 9. The German almost made contact to the back of the USA car. He's a young kid. He's got to learn to be patient. He's got the pace. The trouble is now that he's slowed up by running directly behind the USA car. 19-year-old Nico Hulkenberg has got to show maturity and patience at 19 years of age.
Phil Giebler, a little bit older, a little bit more experienced, but there's a shake of the head in the USA pit crew. Can USA stay in front in this race and take the first feature race win of the new season? We saw South Africa win earlier on today. They became a new winner. USA's never won a race, but neither has Germany, so we're likely to see another new winner.
And it's very hard to try and make a pass around the exit of Tars and up into the Hugenholz hairpin bend. The possibility of doing it now up the hill under acceleration, both cars pretty much equally matched, but Hulkenberg didn't appear to get the power on a little bit earlier, has carried the speed, but again running up into turn 5. This is a very quick approach to easy to defend, no chance to dive down the inside. You do so, but the back of the USA car you can see is beginning to move around. Again, Germany has a more compliant car, able to get the power on earlier, and USA now has a mirror full of Team Germany.
So can the Stars and Stripes stay ahead?
He's got it, he's done it, he's through.
He's done it easily, hasn't he? Germany takes the lead. Germany takes the lead here in the Netherlands, and Nico Hulkenberg is another teenage sensation. We saw one in the sprint race in the shape of Adrian Zaug. Now we're seeing another. Nico Hulkenberg goes through. USA running in second. It should be a fairly safe second. Netherlands are still in third place, and the Netherlands are the ones still in danger. That was the reaction in the German camp as Nico Hulkenberg took the position, and the team there, the David Sears crew who look after the engineering on that car, what a wonderful moment it was for them. Now they've just got to keep it together for the remaining 4 minutes.
And Phil Giebler having to struggle to keep the car. Clearly Germany have got car speed. Nico Hulkenberg has done a magnificent job. He used maturity and patience, as we see here. Further battle going on. New Zealand and Canada, that's a battle for 12th position.
It is. The Netherlands, we think, are still in third place. Yes, they are, but being caught by Australia as well. You're looking at New Zealand further down the order, but right now the concentration really is going to be on whether Netherlands can hold on to a podium finish in this race. Canada running in 12th position. That was a change of place. New Zealand getting 12th ahead of Canada, but when they went past last time, the Netherlands had an 18-second advantage over Australia, but they were 7 seconds slower on the lap. This was another move. Italy and Singapore a moment ago. Italy now, right off and actually hit the barrier.
Snaps the barrier. Probably not very much damage, but well, I don't know whether he'll decide he'll continue on. Italy had been running in 5th place, and that may just decide them that they'll just take what they can get. If they get a top 10 finish and pick up any points, they'll go for it. Look at that. Australia makes its way past.
No, that was Malaysia. That was Malaysia. It did look similar, but it was the yellow and white car of Malaysia, so I think Netherlands still holding on to 3rd place at the moment. Australia not far behind, and then it's Mexico back there too. Can the Netherlands hold on for a podium on home soil or not?
They've got an advantage of 18 seconds, and we've got 2.5 minutes remaining, and I don't think that's going to be conceivable. Even Ryan Briscoe, as brilliant as he is, cannot make up that difference. It would need a mistake, an error from Johan Bleekemolen to allow Australia to get on that final podium position.
Well, it looks like we've got 2 laps to go. Germany's already crossed the line, some 3.2 seconds ahead of the United States. Here comes the Netherlands, about to cross the line in 3rd place, using his wet weather tyres to their absolute limit. There won't be much left on them, but you have to say the tyres have withstood a dry track remarkably well. And Team Germany out on their own now, coming up to lap the Czech car.
Well, Nico Hülkenberg has driven a race. I mean, I have to say, another youngster. We've got all these 18, in fact, 117 from Switzerland, 18, 19-year-old. Let's call them kids because they're not grown men yet. Some of them couldn't even go to a rent car because they're underage.
That's right, but they can drive an A1GP car, all 550 brake horsepower on board, and Germany's Nico Hülkenberg looking a new star perhaps to be born from Germany. As one sets off towards retirement, Nico Hülkenberg could be the new face for German motorsport.
Oh, what a great day. We've had one star from South Africa win the sprint race. We're now seeing the emergence of another star. Both backgrounds come from karting, and that's the reason why these youngsters can get into a very powerful single-seater race car. We've seen it elsewhere this year, and they are immediately competitive, but they've got so many years of skill and experience behind them. That is based on a karting background. It is totally invaluable to any youngster who wants to have a career in motorsport.
He will see the checkered flag next time around. Last lap begins, and Germany is going to take victory surely. USA in second place, but what about that battle for third between the Netherlands and Australia? Let's see what the gap is when they come past us this next time. They're a long way behind these leaders, so I'm still waiting to see Netherlands come past our commentary position as we focus on Germany leading this race, and the Netherlands still not through. Are they going to get that podium finish? Yep, he's still in third. And the gap back to Australia just across the line, some 2.7 seconds. So Australia's got a great chance of taking the final podium slot as we look at Germany, and Germany's just got to stay out of trouble here. Coming up to lap Canada, who's running in 13th position. James Hinchcliffe won't make it terribly easy, but of course he's not going to want to hold up the leader. He'll be getting blue flags, and I'm sure Team Germany will be able to nip through fairly quickly, not under much pressure from USA, who's some 5.7 seconds behind. There you are. Canada moves cleanly out of the way, and Germany continues en route, heading for Germany's first win in A1GP. 2 new winners to add to the tally from last year. It really is been a very open day indeed. 8 nations might have won in the first season, but we've already had 2 new nations winning races here today. South Africa and now Germany become A1GP winners. Out of the final corner, it's Nico Hülkenberg for Team Germany, who takes the victory at Zandvoort in the feature race. Second goes to the USA, but who is going to finish third? That's the big question. Look in the background, USA second. Now it's a long gap. You're going to be waiting here, waiting, because the Netherlands was a long way behind when they came past last time, but they're still racing for third position. There, Australia's through. I just saw Australia had got past, and it's the Netherlands now. Oh, their gamble didn't quite pay off. They're going to be just off the podium. He's going to finish in a heroic 4th place. Well done to Jeroen Bleekemolen, but Australia takes third. Netherlands takes 4th, and with that 4th they become the best nation finish on home soil. No nation has ever finished better than 5th in its home race in the past, so at least they've got that to celebrate. But I do feel for them. It was so close at one stage to a win and at least to a podium, but in the end those wet tyres just didn't have the grip in the drying conditions. What a race. Germany the winners, from the United States in second place and Australia in third, and drama throughout there. But when you look at the performance of this young German driver Nico Hülkenberg, then you have to be impressed. I know the team had already been impressed with his abilities in testing. Oh, and off at the end there was Brazil. Brazil were running with 11th place, battling with New Zealand. Now, does that mean, I think we're going to see a change there. We're waiting for the other finishers to come through. Mexico has finished 5th, Italy is 6th, Great Britain 7th, Switzerland finish in 8th place, China 9th, only the second time that China have finished in the points in A1GP, and Indonesia finish in 10th place. So Great Britain unable to capitalise perhaps on the conditions on this occasion. Switzerland did a fine job because 8th place included a drive-through penalty earlier in this race, and indeed no, they didn't get fastest lap. The fastest lap was actually set towards the end by Team Malaysia. So Malaysia set the fastest lap despite being 4 laps down when they had an accident off the line on the green flag lap. So Malaysia's Alex Young was actually going very, very quickly towards the end of that race and set fastest lap. But Switzerland made good progress, moving up to 8th. And Jeroen Bleekemolen's getting out of his car virtually now as he celebrates a 4th place finish just off the podium. it might have been, but nonetheless an heroic drive there from Bleekemolen. The way he took the lead around the outside at the Tarzan corner, the fans truly have taken him to heart this weekend. He is the new Dutch hero, and what a response he's getting. Look at that. Isn't that something special? And he's going to lay a little bit of rubber down out there, out of the S's. And he just loves all this, and he loves playing to the crowd as well. Fantastic to see in a young man who hasn't done a lot of single-seater racing in recent years at all. But there is a man who's, like Adrian Zaug earlier on today, is making a name for himself. Nico Hülkenberg, winner for Germany. And there really is a new star around another new star. Team USA finish in second, but it's time to celebrate. Punches the air there, Nico Hülkenberg, and the team will be absolutely delighted with that. Team USA, great effort, you know, for Team USA. That matches their previous best result as well. In fact, no, better than their previous best result. So new best for the USA. And Australia, Briscoe, getting something out of a weekend that really wasn't looking very promising at all. Somehow he's brought the Australian car home in third, despite the fact that they weren't really on the pace in the dry conditions. Look at him. Bleekemolen has stopped opposite the grandstand there, and I think he's done a few donuts, leapt out of the car. Don't know if he did any donuts, we didn't quite see, but the fact that it's facing the wrong way gives an indication, and he's going to make the most of this.
With Sky Multi-Room, if you don't fancy watching their Sky downstairs, you can go and watch your Sky upstairs, leaving everyone at home happy. All you need is a multi-room subscription, which only costs £10 a month, and an extra box from Sky. Standard installation is free. Sky Multi-Room. Same time, different channels.
Surprisingly economical 307 HDI. You may be away longer than you think. Now with 4 years 0% finance. The Peugeot 307, the drive of your life.
We see protection. We see security. We see confidence. We see peace of mind. We've made our software more secure. At Microsoft, we're always working to keep it that way. Find out more.
The city has 2 suns.
My family's lived on this hill forever. This is my home.
Only one can rule.
I grew up on this hill. These are my people.
You can be completely undone by your brother.
He's a plague, Tommy. We gotta take care of it before it kills us all. He's my brother. This is my neighborhood, and it always will be. You and I, we're not the same in any way.
Brotherhood, the brand new series, coming soon, only on FX.
What does it?
Petit Filou yogurt drinks. They'll keep us going on the journey.
Petit Filou yogurt drinks contain calcium to help kids grow strong bones.
Wow! We've never been so far from home.
The yogurt drink from Petit Filou.
With calcium to help bones grow stronger.
From your play.
It's fair to say that at times, life isn't always fun and games. You keep trying and trying, but sometimes keeping on top of everything, especially your finances, can become a bit of a nightmare. Ocean could give you the power to cut your bills down to size and get what you want through a loan or remortgage. In almost any circumstances. Over the last 15 years, we've already helped more than 200,000 homeowners raise money for virtually any purpose. So, whether it's consolidating your debts, transforming your home, or buying a car, talk to us free on 0800 858 858 or apply online at oceanfinance.co.uk. Make the most of life with Ocean.
Stare into the fire. Now, ask yourself, do you want your burger fried? Or big, juicy and flame grilled?
Welcome back to Zandvoort. A1GP has its first race winners of the new season. Let's just remind you of that feature race result. What a race it was to kickstart this new A1GP season. Nico Hülkenberg of Germany taking it from the USA's Phil Giebler. Australia's Ryan Briscoe in third. He, of course, was third in the feature in China. So impressing here as well, Jeroen Bleekmolen, a national hero now in Holland. OK, let's get the thoughts of our studio guests, Andy and Tony, for what was a spectacular race for that feature. Let's start with you first of all, Tony. Team France calling it a day in the end, but let's go back a little bit further to the start of, well, the restart since the weather came back, and Darren Manning spinning it. Just explain what happened there.
Well, this was a strange one really, because we were getting very excited in the studio here because Darren was the first of the pit stoppers and he was sitting pretty. But unfortunately on the restart, after the safety car went in, they got trapped behind the Team Pakistan car, which is very slow, very inexperienced. And it ended up 3 pit stops for Darren Manning, taking wet tyres, going back to dry tyres, and that big incident there on dry tyres, cold dry tyres, which we think, Andy, sent him into that big broadside.
Yeah, don't forget he got caught up in the pits as well. Somebody parked the car broadside across in front of him, and also the Team Pakistan car blocking the pit lane entry. So not a brilliant race for Darren, but what an amazing achievement from that German driver. I said, where is he? And he's just grinded that result out all race without any mistakes, and so has Phil Giebler. Brilliant drive for the USA.
We'll get to those two in a moment, but what about Jeroen Bleekmolen? Because he knows this track inside out, and did that show out there, Tony?
Well, for me, he was the man of the match, simply because he has no single-seater experience to speak of whatsoever. He's been driving DTM, supercars. Yes, of course he knows his way around here, but to stick it out to the last bits, go around the outside. And this was his favourite place every time, around the outside, around Tarzan, where he knows where it's slightly drier, where he can get some grip from the tyres. And he did them all, and he got into the lead that way, and he hung on to take 4th place. The sad thing for me was just losing in the last lap to Australia, losing that podium position. He desperately deserved that podium position, but he was my driver of the day.
What do you think? Do you think Jos Verstappen might have been watching that at home, Andy? Throwing things at the television screen?
I think he would have been a little bit green, but anyway, they've got a new hero, and he did drive exceptionally well. He must have had a smile from ear to ear when he saw the rain come down, because that's when you know the home advantage. You know, all the little places to go to get the grip. But my man of the match today, or driver of the day, Phil Giebler. He drove 18 laps on slick tyres in the wet. Brilliant.
What about Nico Hülkenberg, though, for you, Tony?
Tremendous. Since the Silverstone test, when he first got excited about using the paddles, Willy Weber is the manager of Michael Schumacher, who's also looking after this kid. And well done to West Surrey Racing USA, and Dick Bennett's in masterminded USA's 2nd place.
OK, chaps, thanks very much for your time today, Tony and Andy. Let's just remind you, of course, of where next you can see A1GP, because after this race weekend in Zandvoort, they're heading to the Czech Republic, qualifying from Brno, due to get underway at 5:30 on Sky Sports 3. And on the Sunday, the race day, A1GP from the Czech Republic, live from Brno, race day 1 p.m. on Sky Sports Extra. So what a race in Zandvoort to kickstart the new A1GP season, and what a weekend for German motorsport. What's more, the Dutch, they have a new hero too.